across the plains. Hope rekindles in the crimson tide, as freedom's anthem calls our names. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Fields of dreams are ripe once more. Factories hum with honest pride. Our banner waves on every shore, with courage marching by our side. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Through trials dark, we found our steel. The eagle's cry breaks through the night. In unity, our wounds now heal. We chase the dawn with fearless light. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? How you doing, Dr. Jade?
I'm okay. How are you, Rich?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
I'm pretty good. Do you have another tab open? I think hang on, that was me. Never mind. That was me. Sorry.
And how's everybody out there on internet land?
How's everybody in the interwebs? What's up, Chris? Good to see you. Simon, what's up, brother? 42's in the house. Speaking in the house, Jimmy from Philly is in the house. And when I say he's in from the house, he's in the house. There he is.
He's literally in the house.
He just gave the finger. All right, so that's Jimmy. That's proof positive right there. That's proof of life. Hello, Dr. Jade. What's up, Chris?
How you doing, Chris?
What's going on, man? Hey, everybody. How you doing? We got another another fire hose. Oh, Jimmy just said, yo. Yeah. We got another fire hose of news this week.
It just doesn't stop.
This week, Dr. Jade, anything new?
Oh, it's more of the same. Just trying to keep things going in a line.
Cool. Yeah, same stuff, different day. I've been off all week. I've been on vacay. I go back Monday for half a day. All right, let me go over what the stories will be this week, just the big ones, and then we'll just show you the fire hose. So, and I did not, I swear I did not know this because I was away yesterday for 2 days actually, and I did not know because I went incommunicado. I didn't check any news or anything. So Trump's massive $500 million civil fraud fine in Tish James's case is thrown out by an appeals court. Birthing person, this is great. Liberals beg Democrats to ditch the woke lingo and talk normally.
Yeah, I mean, if of anything that the liberal whack jobs have ever come up with, this is the worst.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the thing is, you're right. And the thing is, these people they create a problem. This is the liberal Democrats. They create a problem, and then they let it fester for years, and then they step in like, you know what? This is a really bad problem. We're the only people that can fix it. Elect us. Like, wait a minute, what the F? You're the guys that actually created. That's what Gavin Newsom has been doing. He was out there giving speeches about 3 weeks ago talking about, our cities are just horrible. There's homeless everywhere. I'm sitting here going, oh my God, you used to be the mayor of San Francisco when it started. You're the governor of the state, and you're bitching about a problem that your party created and that you exacerbated. Instead of saying, look, get them off the streets, put them in, mental homes or drug rehabs where they belong. No, you guys come up with rules that say that certain billionaires got to donate money to give them showers and 3 squares a day, and they can charge their iPhone, right? I mean, think about it, man. That's what they do. They make it so that they're the only ones that can fix the problem, but they forget to tell you they created it. So red state.
Yeah, but birthing person, have you ever once run into a woman who wants to be called a birthing person instead of a mother?
They did that for the whack jobs. That's why,
Well, complete whack jobs.
Oh, yeah.
That was the worst.
Here's one that kind of shocked me. Red state institutions are as left-wing as their blue counterparts. I don't think all, but we'll get into that.
But the key word there,
paragraph, huh?
The key word there is institutions.
Right. Because and you know what? A red state. I did not read this article. I saw the headline. I read the first chapter, the first paragraph, and I thought, yeah, it's a story worth doing because I want to learn about it. Plus, it's the Federalist. The Federalist doesn't put garbage out. What I think is happening is that the red state has institutions that are still being run by Democrats. That's what I think is going on, and they haven't infiltrated them yet to get rid of these people. Either because when the Democrats were in charge, they created laws making it hard to, just like at the federal level, what Trump just had to go through, and maybe they don't want to go through that. They figure, I don't know what they figure, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, it's called the deep state.
Texas finally passed the new congressional maps. That means that loudmouth Jasmine Crockett knows that her seat is gone. It's going away. Sure, she cried racism, said all the things that a black racist politician would say, and toodaloo, kick the bucket, break a leg. Cincinnati judge. Remember the woman? Remember when they started beating the hell out of this white guy, and then a woman went over to help someone, and the guy sucker punched her in the face? That guy, a judge, let go. What kind of judge do you think he is?
Yeah, really.
All right, so a study, ready? Democrats are losing registration race in all 30 states that track party affiliation. 4.5 million voter swing toward the Republicans. Now, they're all freaking out, right? Did you know there's another story we're going to do, that the Democrats not only want to kick Hakeem Jeffries out of the leadership role in the House, they want to kick him out of the Democratic Party. No kidding. They want him out of the party.
Yeah, he's too conservative.
He's that bad. The other thing I didn't know was that it was oh my God, they raided John Bolton's. Oh my God, I was like, holy crap. Now the best part is that there's also, I'm going to play a video of Trump and what he said about it, which you're just going to love. He made a statement, and I'll explain it. I know you guys will get it because my audience is the smartest out there, but I want to get into it anyway because it's fun just to talk about why he made the comment he did. All right, breaking: poor little Adam Schiff launches a legal defense fund. He did this the other day. Now, let me say this: I didn't know if I was going to be home in time for this stream because we went upstate about 300 miles away for 2 days, and so I started this 2 days ago. This screen, right? I started 2 days ago, and then when I got home today, I had about 2 hours to put the latest stuff in. So I'm putting it in between. Some of this stuff is like 2 days old, so forgive me. Like this one. Little Adam Schiff launches his legal defense fund. I'm going to love that one. Because he was out there. He was giving speech at like little talks and all, saying, oh, Donald Trump has always tried to be an authoritarian against me. I was just keeping him towards the Constitution. It's like blah, 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 bullshit. All right, U.S. censorship tyrants just bent the knee, or UK censorship, which is pretty big, we all know, right? UK censorship tyrants just bent the knee to President Trump. We'll get into that, too. Here you go. Look at all these states: Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana. They pledge additional National Guard troops to D.C. Total 6 GOP-led states sending troops. I don't think a single Democrat state is doing it. This is what I'm talking about, Trump, okay? He says, we're going to clean up D.C. because it's a beautiful capital, okay? But the Democrats let it rot. right? So you got the drugs, you got the total violence, the homelessness, right? And he wants to clean it up. So because he talked about that and brought National Guard troops in, right? So the first phase was the Democrats like Nancy Pelosi, he's bringing National Guard troops in here. Can you believe this? There's no problem in D.C. Yeah. Okay. So she made up the whole January 6th bullshit. We know that there was a 2.5-hour riot, okay, that was like, I think it was like, what was it, like 1/6 of the total people that were there. There was only like 500 people that were involved in it. The riot part did not make it into the building, but they wanted you to think it did, right? They want you to think that 5 or 6 cops died that day. It's all a bullshit lie. And here, they just nailed her. I think we talked about it last week, where they said, yes, she was responsible. And the former police chief of Capitol Police, he came out and said, or no, it was Metro Police, I think. He came out and said, you know what? It was days that you kept ignoring me when I was asking for National Guard troops, and your sergeant at arms kept saying no, and he responds to you. And they lied about that all along. So now she's turning around and saying, you know, like, oh, he's bringing in National Guard. Well, Nancy Pelosi brought 10,000 troops in after J6, and they were all standing around the Capitol doing nothing. They had nothing to do. And then there were pictures of them where she had them sleeping. She has illegals in the hotel rooms. She has National Guard sleeping on the cement floor inside the parking garages all around D.C. So it's just this is what Trump does. So now he's now going to be able to show, and he doesn't even have to say it. His people will say it. Like, look, we got 6 states now, Republican red states, that are sending troops because they care about the Capitol, right? What Democrat states have sent it? None. So it's just further, and they don't even realize they're being played. Ed Martin, the Russia hoax is about to blow up. Schiff and Biden's DOJ are next. That's great. Trump is about to go nuclear against mail-in voting. He is. He's going to do something, and I think legally he can. Now, they say Article 1, Section 4 about the law, right? And it is true. I preach that all the time. However, for federal elections, the feds do have some say. They do. So, and that's why it says in Article 1, Section 4, it says that states have the authority to do election laws. However, they put in there that the Congress may intervene from time to time. And that's when a state, like they had to do that with Voting Rights Act and stuff like that. Okay, because the Democrats were such racist pigs that they were screwing over black people trying to vote. And they put the Voting Rights Act because they wanted them to be able to vote without racism, without being threatened, you know, something that everybody else can do, right? And so that's why that went in there. And so Congress had to intervene on that. And it was nothing that the states could do. But anything that is not where the states do something outrageous to harm a certain segment of society with voting, that's all the states. The states have that authority. So I think Trump's going to be able to step in on that. Here's the plethora of other stuff that we're going to go over. You got anything you wanted to talk about, Dr. J?
No, I've just been. We watched the footage and cannot find the right. Yeah, I've just been running from pillar to post this week. I don't got anything special to add.
All right. Hey, what's up, Louie? Good to see you, man. Who else is here? Let me see. What's up? Let's see. Hey, what's up, Colonel? Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Jimmy says, yo. Who else is here? Anybody else we miss? There's a lot of people watching it. They aren't chiming in. Hey, do me a favor, everybody. Please hit that like button if you can, if you haven't already. It helps us. I appreciate it. Let me see what we got. How many people we got? Awesome. We got 10. Nice. We got some more people. You got to bring your friends in, guys. Let's do the first one. This is one, you guys may know it, but I don't. So I didn't even know about it because I was out yesterday. So let's do this. New York Post. Trump's massive $500 million civil fraud fine in AG Tish James's case thrown out by New York Appeals Court. And you know she's going to argue all the way up to the Supreme Court, and she's going to lose. President Trump.
That's the interesting thing is, if you look at that headline, the interesting thing is New York Appeals Court.
Yeah, I know. But they can get it into the federal.
Yeah, but if New York Appeals can't uphold that conviction.
Exactly. But see, it's probably because, well, See, the New York Appeals Court, I don't know if it was the full court or if it was like 2 or 3 judges. When that happens, they could have drawn some Republican judges. Now, I remember on the Supreme Court, Chief Justice of the United States, Roberts, he came out one time when Trump talked about that scumbag federal district judge who in this first term, who immediately out of the gate said that his travel ban was racist. It was against Muslims. Never said the word Muslim in there, right? The top 3 Muslim countries in the world were not on the list. In fact, the countries were the exact list that Barack Obama's DOJ gave and their intel people gave to the Trump administration, saying out of all these, we believe these 6 countries here have the largest chance of having ISIS operatives infiltrating, coming in as refugees. And so Trump said, fine, then we ban people from those countries from coming in until the FBI can tell us what the hell's going on. And so immediately, so Trump says, well, he's an Obama judge. That's what he said. And Roberts comes out. There are no Obama judges, Trump judges. The hell there aren't. Yes, there are. We're dealing with Boasberg, with Burl Howe. I mean, all these jackasses that Biden and Obama put in that have been the ones that have been district judges trying to throw national rulings out there. Bullshit. And so now we just had another one that happened, but the Supreme Court already ruled and said you can't go outside your district. You overstepped your authority. Let's just get through this. Sorry, bloviating too much. President Trump won a huge symbolic victory Thursday when the New York Appeals Court threw out more than $500 million fine he owed to Attorney General Letitia James' business fraud case because it was bullshit. Appellate Division First Department overturned the whopping $464 million judgment against Trump, 79. They always got to put that in there, but upheld a finding that the real estate tycoon tuned president engaged in fraud by exaggerating net worth for decades. Well, he actually didn't. I mean, when he said Mar-a-Lago was what did he say it was?
They said it was worth 18 million.
Yeah, the judge said that, and the judge refused. That a-hole judge refused to allow like a top real estate appraiser from Florida to come in and say, no, it's closer to $1 billion. And he had I read his paper. He had all the reasons why, and you read it and you don't even know real estate. You go, yeah, it's probably $1 billion, but that's what happened. The judge refused to let him do it. Just like the judge in the other case, right? Now I forget his name. Just like that judge where Mershon. Yeah, thank you. It was just like that judge who would not allow he would not allow he allowed the woke prosecutor, right? Alvin Bragg. He allowed him to go into the federal system, state prosecutor, allowed him to go into the federal system so that he could convert 38? Yeah, I think it was like 38 state documents charges, which was you didn't sign something correctly, you didn't check this off. That's what it was. Very low level misdemeanors. He allowed him to convert them to 38 felonies of election law cases, federal. So at the same time, Juan Mershon did not allow a Federal Elections Commission executive to testify and say Trump broke no federal election laws. He blocked, and so right there on appeal, he will win. But it just takes time to appeal. So he said,
yeah, but that's their whole strategy. That's their whole strategy. The process is the punishment.
Well, that was it. And they try. You know what? I think every one of these bastards that did this should be tried because that is election interference. I don't give a damn what they call it. That's election interference. When you can prove that the judge had to know, unless we're going to call him mentally ill or something, he had to know that a state prosecutor cannot work in the federal system, just like a federal prosecutor cannot work in a state system. That's why they're two different systems. But he allowed him to convert. And the other thing is, every single one of those state charges, the statute of limitations ran out 6 years prior. So he let charges that were state charges, misdemeanors, that the statute of limitations ran out to become current federal felonies under election law, which has nothing to do with state documents. I mean, come on. He should be in prison or at least dethroned. He should be thrown out. Well, you know what? He wasn't a real judge anyway. They brought him into that circuit to do all the Trump cases. I think he did Navarro's case. He did Bannon's case. He did all those cases. I believe he did Bannon's case. But he did all the Trump cases.
He was a hitman.
They wanted to take out the Trump people because they knew that he was a scumbag and that he would do it. He's the kind of guy that would look you in the eye and lie to you, and you can't tell. Like he's one of those kind of lefties.
He was a designated hitman.
Yep. So Trump said, I had a victory today. You know, they stole $550 million from me with a fake case, and it was overturned. Trump told dozens of law enforcement officers Thursday when he talked about the crackdown in D.C. But the case stemming from a civil suit brought by James's office still remains in place and will now go to New York's highest court, which is not their Supreme Court, by the way, as the legal battle between the state's top lawyer and the commander-in-chief continues. I can almost guarantee Trump will win. Because there's nothing in that case. He didn't do what they said he did. Number two, they want to say that he's the one that filed paperwork and all that. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Plus, I think that the next court will allow, well, if it's an appellate court, no, because they can't bring in new evidence. But, I mean, all Trump has to do is get that guy in Florida to just go on every TV show he can. And say, well, yeah, you know, we know it's worth close to $1 billion, if not $1 billion by now. But when he put it up for the collateral, plus you think about it, the bank, Deutsche Bank, that guy came over and actually testified and said, no, nobody was harmed. There was no fraud. We made money. He made money. We want to do business with him again. But Letitia James said, no, it was fraud. Get out of here. You know, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, the bank didn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, and when a bank gives a loan, they do their own assessment. They don't take your word for what your property is worth.
And you know what they testified to? They said that the Trump team, that they always put a claim in, or a disclaimer where they say, look, these are our numbers. We want you to do your own they tell a bank this, do your own due diligence. We're just telling you what we came up with. We could be wrong. And yet this a-hole judge here, this guy, he just didn't want to hear it because the fix was in. And Big Letitia here, she didn't want to do it because the fix was in. So here we go. Birthing person.
Got to talk about that one.
Yeah, we got to talk about that one. Let me bring it up. So here we go. Birthing person. Liberals beg Democrats to ditch the woke lingo and talk normally. So in other words, they were telling us all along, them and the media, you know, Jimmy from Philly was actually correct when he said that I said something right about you. All right. So when he said a while back, he said the only reason why this woke crap is popular is because of the media. Otherwise, they would have been a phase, like a 2-week phase, and would have got out. The media kept telling us this was a real thing. You have to accept it. And the Democrats went whole hog, figuring that if they forced people, and in some states, you can get in trouble for misgendering someone. I know in Canada, you can go to jail or something like that.
Yeah, it's bad in Canada.
It's bad up there, yeah. So here we go. And now they're the ones that saying, come on, you got to get rid of this shit. Yeah, all right. Liberal think tank Third Way is calling on Democrats to avoid using woke jargon. I raised it up and I went too far. There we go. 45 Thursday outlining 45 words and phrases they want Democrats to refrain from using because no ordinary person would ever dream of saying them, as Politico first reported. But you know what? It served their purpose when they were. This was, if you think about it, this was during the COVID shit, right? And what did they do? They tried to get you to learn to obey. All right, that's what the whole mask, 6 feet distance, get your vaccine. You know, stay inside. You can't work. It was all to get you to obey.
Put your mask on.
Yeah, put the mask on because when you walked around and you saw that mask, you didn't think, oh, thank God I'm not going to get sick and die, right? You thought to yourself, come on. You thought to yourself, well, he's just following the rules here. I guess I got to too. And that's what they wanted to do. And so the same thing here is with this woke bullshit. It was called queer theory. It has nothing to do with sexuality. Queer theory is you try to introduce into a society the strangest, weirdest effing things you possibly can. Like men can have babies and a man put on a dress and says he's a woman, he's really a woman. That's what they did. and the language that they put in there, the they, them, they wanted you to be able to remember 360 some million people's pronouns, all different. And if they changed it from one day to another and you didn't know they changed it, it's your fault and that you could be fined for. That's what the ultimate thing they wanted, because it's queer theory. Because then you go, you know what? We just want normal again. We'll vote anybody in that'll give us normal, okay? That's what they do. So Third Way claimed in the memo that some of the language Democrats use makes the party sound like extreme devices, elitist, and obfuscatory. I can't say
That's
the word.
a difficult word.
Obfuscatory. Thank you. And forces of wokeness. In reality, most Democrats do not run or govern on wildly out of touch social positions, Third Way's memo said. And that's why they're not in power. But people just had to wait for them to fall out of power. And they abused every last minute of it when they were in power. But voters would be excused to believe we do because of the words that come out of their mouths. Words which sound like we are hiding behind unfamiliar phrases to mask extreme intent. Thank you. One category of language Third Way wants Democrats to stay away from using includes what they refer to as therapy speak. Great. Which mentions words and phrases including privilege, environmental violence, dialoguing, othering, triggering, and microaggression. That was a big one, microaggression. Because microaggression said you could be talking to people and they go, oh, look at that. You had a microaggression. What are you talking about? Oh, your eye twitched. It did? Yeah, it did. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that you're a racist. I mean, it's literally the shit they were trying to shove down our throats. The think tank suggests that these types of words make them sound like they're telling voters, I'm more empathetic than you, and you are callous to hurt other people's feelings. That's exactly what it was for. They shared that this Third Way is a left-wing group. Additionally, Third Way wrote in the memo that Democrats should not use gender orientation correctness terminology, which includes words such as birthing person, cisgender, dead naming, heteronormative, patriarchy, and LGBTA, QIZ, XYZ, WXYZ, whatever it is, right? And sometimes that little symbol that goes over a vowel. Okay. Third Way asserted that the use of these types of words suggests Democrats are implying that others' views on traditional genders and gender roles are at best quaint. There's two genders. The report comes as the Democratic Party has been attempting to rebrand in time for the midterms amid plummeting approval ratings following its decisive loss. Now, you know what we're going to see them do? Exactly what I said that Gavin Newsom did. They're going to turn around and go, you know what? We are sick and tired of these people using these cisgender and all this woke crap. We're not for that. We're America. We have freedom of speech. I guarantee you the same people that push this bullshit are going to be doing that. I guarantee you. We are doing our best to get Democrats to talk like normal people. They'll never talk normal again, and stop talking like they're leading a seminar in Antioch. Matt Bennett, Third Way's executive vice president of public affairs, told Politico, we think language is one of the central problems we face with normie voters. We're the normie voters, signaling that we are out of touch with how they live, think, and talk. Yes, in recent weeks, this has become a bit of a thing with comedians like, wait a minute, Jimmy Kimmel is a comedian? Really? Sarah Silverman? Wow. Highlighting how insane Dems can sometimes sound. Well, Jimmy Kimmel was pushing all that woke shit on his show every night. Also, elected officials like Sarah McBride, Andy Bashir, I can't talk tonight, are begging their colleagues to just be normal again. So in other words, they finally realized that they got to stop this bullshit that got them actually thrown out of office. Hey, what's up, Budgie? Good to see you, man. Facial expression crime. Exactly.
Yeah, and if anybody wants,
good to see you. Hey, Linda, how you doing, girlfriend? Good to see you.
And if anybody wants a 5-minute mini instructional lecture on genetics, I'm happy to give it.
Yeah. My other girlfriend, Pam, is not here tonight because she's at a fair. I didn't even know she was going to a fair, but she's at a fair. She's having an affair. No, she's at a fair. Do you think Rich could be classified as rage porn? What, I could be classified as rage porn? What do you mean? What does that mean, rage porn?
You do go on.
Okay, what, rage porn? Okay.
I wouldn't think so. But if a Democrat falls in the woods How is it Trump's fault?
Yeah, well, it always is. I still can't get a. Do you think Rich could be classed as rage porn? There you go, rage porn. All right. All right, look, I get mad so you guys don't have to. How's that?
Here you go.
Let's see. Hunter, Rich, remember how this all in Obama to decide the process just credit down? Yeah, absolutely. They did everything. And
I mean, but don't forget, this has been going a long time before Obama. It's been going on a long time ago.
Yeah, they'll find a way. They'll find a way. It's right.
Yeah, this goes back. They'll find a way. What, to blame Trump? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, the Clinton era did all this shit too.
This goes back to Clinton. This goes back past Bush. This goes back.
Okay, thank you, Linda. I love you anyway.
There you go. I mean, this has been going on
a long time.
And I have been raging about the Uniparty for years.
Yeah, she always talks about the Uniparty.
You know, because the fact is, Republicans and the Democrats all were in the same clubs and they played golf together. They all wanted the same things, and they made these noises like to make you think you had a choice.
Except the Freedom Caucus. They're the only ones. There's about 35 members. They're the only people to give a shit about America. Out of 535 people in Congress.
Yeah, there was a few of them that, you know.
Me love you long time. I don't want to do a
don't go there. Don't go there. We don't need to do that on this show. It's a family show. Okay.
Yeah. You know what I would say too.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the next one. So let's do.
See, that's part of my job, Rich, is to keep you out of trouble.
I know, that's why I hired you. All right, let's go. Here we go. It's done deal. And this is really important. You guys have. I can't emphasize it large enough. You know, it's done. Texas finally passes new congressional maps. Okay. We all know what redistricting is, right? Well, they just gained 5 seats for us. Okay. And depending upon the outcome of this, Ohio's now going to get 3 seats from there doing it. Tennessee, probably 2 or 3. And Florida's going to have a number of seats as well.
Did you say Ohio?
Yeah, Ohio gets 3, Tennessee probably 3, and Florida maybe more. Okay, so here we go. It's over. Texas has a new congressional map for the 2026 midterms, though it took over 2 weeks after state Democrats, the cowards that they are, unnecessarily fled to prevent a quorum. You see, I'm going off again. I don't care. These MFers, the Democrats, they're the ones that everything that they don't like, they say, it's an end of our democracy, right? They do that shit every single time something comes along that is 100% legal to do, but they don't like it, okay? So they say it's an end of our democracy. They're the ones that literally broke free and ran away. They took an oath of office that said that they would serve the people of Texas in their districts. And then because something was going to happen that would end their career that they didn't like, they said, screw that. I'm going to run away and prevent that. One of the things that they prevented was there was a vote on the floods for money to go to the floods, to the flood victims. Remember the bad floods that were down there? A lot of people killed. It was disastrous. Well, they were voting, and no, the vote wasn't planned after they took off. It was planned for months. Because they had to get the money from FEMA to come in. Then they had to figure out, they had to put a committee together to figure out who's going to get what. And they finally put it out there. And they were going to vote on it. And these sons of bitches went over to Illinois, which is the most gerrymandered state in the country. So they flew over to Illinois and they hung out there for a couple of weeks. And then they had to be threatened to come back.
Yeah. And
they came back. One woman was arrested. That was one story I was going to talk about.
Yeah, can I interject with there? Because you said something very important, that Illinois is one of the most gerrymandered states. And you listen to the Dems and they say, oh, no, Texas gerrymandered. Fact is, Texas has, I think, 50 districts. They've got 12 Democrat reps.
Right.
The Trump got about 60% there. So if you do the math, that works out. Now, Illinois, Trump got, I think it was like 44% of the vote. Republicans have 3 of 17 congressional seats. I thought it was
2, but okay, 3. Still bad.
And Massachusetts, 35% of the vote Trump got, 0 Republican Congress. Same in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Out in California, they've got, I
Bang,
think,
bang.
54 congressional seats, and like 7 or 9 of them
Oh yeah.
are Republican. The fact is that
Go say it.
even after this redistricting, Texas is not as bad as those.
Right. Right. In other words, Trump got a lot higher a percentage than most Republicans would in these states, and yet there's hardly any. But now this was because, and I'll go into it again. The Clay case that's coming up, it's going to destroy the Democrat Party across America. But let's just get through this. So it's over. The 2026 Democrat took 2 weeks. Okay. First, the messaging was abysmal, coupled with the fact that no one cared. All right. Even the legacy press said these Democrats ran away, because they did. They were off message from the get-go. Only after getting guarantees from California Democrats that they would gerrymander their state again, and they can't do it. In fact, Gavin Newsom got some really lousy news. These exiled derelict lawmakers returned to the Texas House to face the inevitable. The new map sailed through the Texas Senate. This was the final stop, and now it's done. Okay. So I'll just go on what happened. So what happened was when they came back, okay, the House Speaker, I forget his name, Republican, he put a rule out that they had to have a Texas Marshal, I believe it was, follow them around. Right. And if they wanted to leave the Texas State House, they had to sign a permission slip like a child in grade school. I got to go to the bathroom. Can I get a hall pass? That's what they had to do. And when they complained about it, they said, wait a minute. You're the guys that can't be trusted. You ran away when we were going to vote on the redistricting, but more importantly, on the funds going to the flood victims. Okay, you ran away. You screwed your own people that were harmed by that. And so basically they said, we're going to treat you like children. That's me talking. We're going to treat you like children. You're going to sign a hall pass. One of the women, Collier, her name is, she refused to sign. So they told her, fine, you don't get to leave the State House until you sign. So she had to sleep overnight. I don't know if she signed it since, because I've been out of it for the last couple of days. I haven't watched anything. But,
well, I haven't heard specifically, but they may have dropped that requirement after the act was passed.
I don't know. But here's what's going on, guys. So I think I talked about it last week, but it goes right into this. So the Democrats are bitching up a storm, saying, oh, well, they're just gerrymandering in their favor. We've never done that. They're famous for doing it. Not only did they gerrymander, but they violated a case that was Thornburg v. Gingles in 1986, and they violated that case. And what they did was that case basically argued that in the Voting Rights Act, Section 2 was being violated. Now, get this. Section 2 was violated because too many white people lived around black people. They called it voter dilution. Okay, so in other words, they're saying, well, all these white people are living here, and white people only vote for white politicians, and black people, well, we vote for everyone, which is the exact opposite. All right. And so what happened was in these states that I'm talking about. And so what happened was they said, all right, there's voter dilution. Okay. So which meant that there's too many people of the opposite color around you. So we're going to use racism to allow you to fix that. So what the Democrats did was they started creating gerrymandered districts by, I said it last week. Imagine this is an entire area, district of 350,000 voters. Up here's a city or a county. It could be multiple counties too. Up here's a city that has, like, I don't know, 100,000 people, and it's mostly black. Then 10 miles away, they have another one, all right, that of the same nature. So they would say, all right, now this and this are going to be the same district, and there's one road that links the two together, and the width of the road was the actual district. So you have this one city, a road going 10 miles, just the width, and in here. So now what did they do? They not only created a new district based on race, okay? It was racist as fuck, based on race, but then they split up the rest of the district, so they had to be absorbed by other districts surrounding them. Okay, so this is how the Democrats did it since 1986, and that's why they were in charge of the Congress for so long.
And if you look at some of those maps, if they're worried that these counties are going to vote Republican, they join all these counties together and you get this big, huge congressional district with one representative.
Right, right.
And then, okay, so you can have your one. And in the meantime, this little strip of land that you were describing also gets one. So,
well, what they were doing is they were trying to make up. And here's the thing, too. You're right. Here's the thing. You're supposed to have 350,000 people up to. Okay. So when they racially gerrymandered like that, okay, there wasn't 350,000 black voters inside these two cities in the district, but they called it a district anyway. Now, forgive me for thinking of the Martin Luther King Jr. theory, right? That it's the content of your character instead of the color of your skin. We conservatives really freaking believe in that, okay? And so my point is, it doesn't matter what type of people are in there, okay? You're all living in the same community. So let me ask, the people that live in that area, okay, the black people, what do they have in common with the people 10 miles away? Absolutely nothing. You know why? Because they're a different county. Even though they're in the district, they're in a different county. They vote for a different sheriff. They vote for a different school board. They vote for all kinds of different things. Okay. They just vote for the same congressman. Okay. And so if you have a different sheriff, I mean, different sheriffs can make your entire lifestyle different. We all know that, right? If one's law and order and the other one isn't, right? So they really have nothing in common. They're not each other's neighbors, put it that way. So they wanted to say, well, because of the color of their skin, we're going to be able to do this, and we're going to abuse the ruling of voter dilution that came in Gibson. Okay. So they did this across the country. Well, now there's this little thing called Thornburg v. Clay. And Clay, Louisiana v. Clay. That was Thornburg v. Gingles. Louisiana v. Clay. And what Clay said was, okay, so they call them majority-minority districts. So in other words, the majority of this district are minority people. Now, I don't know how you could be a majority and a minority. If you're the majority, you're the majority. You're not a minority. But they wanted to hang on to that. Well, we're black, therefore we're the minority, right? Conservatives don't think that way. What's up, Billy? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, hey, Bass. Sorry, didn't see you there. How you doing, brother? Yeah, conservatives don't think this way. We never did. Right? We don't give a shit. If you love your country and you love your family, guess what? We love you. Okay? We don't care about that stuff. We never did. All right? But they want to say that we're the racists and that they're pure as the driven snow, right? It's a bunch of horse shit. So what's happening now is in Clay said, the side of Clay said, look, this racially gerrymandering, it's violating our 14th and 15th Amendment rights, and it does. Okay? And so the Supreme Court, the session ended, right? June, I think, was the last time they came out with the rulings that they ruled on all year. It starts the first Monday in October, so it's right around the corner. And the court is poised to take it up, and I can guarantee you they're going to throw it out. They're not the case. They're going to rule the case and throw out racial gerrymandering because it's wrong. Okay? It's wrong to split up communities that way. All right? So when they do that, the Democrats overnight will lose 25 seats in the House. Overnight. Easy. Because think about that. That's 25 districts across the country. There's only 50 states. That's easily 25 districts they screwed by creating their own and screwing up the other. They will no longer have power, be able to build power. It'll take them decades to get back to what they were, but they have to do it the honest way. And that's my whole point.
Excuse me, that may be a word that Democrats don't understand.
What's that?
Honest.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not sure that they
honestly don't understand honest.
Yeah.
Here's a story that'll make you angry. Okay. So, because we want to make it. No, I'm kidding. So the Cincinnati judge here, ready? You guys remember when you saw the video, right? Of there were a bunch of people on the street, and they started beating this bunch of black people, and they started beating a shit out of this bald white guy, right? I said at the beginning, look, we don't know what the guy did. He still didn't deserve what he got, but we don't know what he did. Did he say something? Did he hit something? We don't know because they didn't show us, right? But that woman went up and tried to tell someone, stop it. We're going to call the police. And a guy sucker punched her and knocked her out. All right. Well, guess what? Cincinnati judge, he cut the bonds and he freed 2 of those suspects. A Cincinnati judge. There you go. So you got to wonder, this is the judge. You got to wonder, what kind of balls does this guy have? Knowing that the country, look, it doesn't matter. All right. Let me say it this way. It does matter that the victim was a white woman and the perpetrator was a black male, only because the left wants to make that matter. I don't give a shit if it's a black woman, a white woman, a black man, a white. Men don't punch women in the face and knock them out and then jump up and down for joy that the big badass guy beat a woman to the ground. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think that I would make it clear that being a woman has nothing to do with it. There is no verbal assault that can ever, and I mean ever, warrant a physical retribution.
Well, sometimes there is.
Tell me more.
I'm going to fucking kill you. That's called assault. That's not battery. That's assault. And if the guy has something in his hand, but he hasn't touched you yet, but he just said something, yeah.
Not until you see a weapon.
Yeah. Well, no. These are weapons for a lot of people.
Yeah. You come at me. You say that.
That's what I'm saying. But if you stand there with your fists up and say, "I'm going to beat you to a fucking pulp," that is assault.
Well, there's a bit of it.
But in your case, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you 100%. What you're saying is but I go back to, there's a woman there. There's no reason to punch a woman in the face, or really anybody. Let's say that. But this guy punched a woman in the face who clearly wasn't a brute. She clearly wasn't asking for him to hit her. She clearly didn't hit him. Okay, so there was no effing reason whatsoever. The point is, you don't hit anybody. But this jackass judge, Cincinnati's justice system, just handed 2 women accused of a brutal street attack a shocking lifeline. Is his name Dekira? I don't know. Dekira Vernon and Aisha Devlin, that's her name. Went from $200,000 to $300,000 bonds down to $25,000, paying just 10%. So $2,500, they walked free. Now, that's the woman that did most of the damage. But where's the guy? That's the guy that they beat, the guy in a white shirt and the woman in the flower dress. They punched her dead in the face. Well, we can't show it. We can't show it because we'll get in trouble for violence. But the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office confirmed to Fox News that 24-year-old Vernon and Aisha Devon, were released from the Hamilton County Jail on Friday following their arraignment the previous day. Now look at just the smirk on this asshole's face. All right. Court records show Judge Alan Triggs lowered Vernon's bond from $250,000 to $25,000. Cut it by think about that, down to 10% of the original, and then they pay 10% of that, $2,500 each. Unreal. Alleged, and you know what they're saying too? Their lawyers are saying, well, we don't like the fact that there are other people that were there that instigated this and caught. Okay, so other people did jump around, swinging at people, kicking people, and instigated, but your client still punched the woman in the face, and this woman here still did shit, right? I just, oh my God, Commander, we thought we lost you. Where you been, brother?
Well, but that's the other half of the story, Commander,
yeah, exactly.
Is you can say what you want. And, I don't think there's anything somebody can say that justifies a physical response. But you come at me, I'm going to do my very best to destroy you.
Yeah,
end of story.
Exactly right.
End of story.
Yeah, so we have another case of a liberal judge letting criminals go free. Well, not go free, but go back on the street. Ghetto sapiens. Oh, that's funny.
And
why the hell did you reflexively try to consider blaming the victim? I didn't, because he was white and they were black. No, I wasn't blaming the victim at all. I said that there's no way that they should punch a woman in the face. That's what I said. And what I said about the white guy was, we don't know what happened because the press won't tell us. So that the point is that it means that he probably did nothing that garnered getting kicked in the face and all the shit that they did. So I just said, we don't know what happened. Maybe he said something, maybe he didn't. We don't know, because the press won't tell us. It's their job to find that out and tell us, right?
Well,
and then we went on and said nothing would cause somebody to take a beating like that, no matter what you said.
And even if this guy took a swing at one of the other guys, the fact is you're allowed to respond with appropriate force. And once somebody is down on the ground and you keep kicking and hitting them, and all your friends are kicking and hitting them, that's criminal action.
No, I'm not afraid. I hope you're being a little facetious here, because I'm not afraid of being called a racist, because I'm called a racist every fucking time I write an article.
Yeah,
that has anything to do with race.
And then you and I talked about this before.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly. I'm saying, hold on. We're not done. Yeah, Billy, I'm saying, what did he do? All right, because the press isn't talking about that. They don't care about that. Think about this. If it was the other way around, Billy, do you think that the press would be handling this the same way? No, not at all. They would not be at all. In fact, I talked to a couple guys in media that I knew, and I said, "Well, why do you guys do that? Why if the one case out of 1,000 comes up where a white guy actually attacked a black guy or woman for something, you guys make it look like it's the most heinous crime in the world." But then you don't do the other side. You try to find reasons to say that, there's mitigating circumstances here why the black on white assault was. And I'm sorry, but he literally told me, well, because we would be doing nothing but reporting on that all the time if we did. He literally said, especially in cities like he didn't say blue, but Democrat run cities, it would be nothing but that. We would be writing nothing but the crimes that black people in these cities are doing. That's what he said.
Yeah, and the fact is, maybe he did say something, but that does in no way justify
that. That's it, right there.
Maybe this guy is an asshole, and maybe he said something.
Yeah, maybe he did. Right? That doesn't justify getting knocked on the ground and having his head kicked in.
Yeah, absolutely.
By like 7 different animals.
Yeah,
that would do something like that. We don't see that the other way around. That's my point. And so everybody in the press was trying to make excuses for them, but they never told us what the excuse was. They came up with bullshit. Let me see what else is up there. Oh, he's still saying hi. Commander, what's going on, man? Where you been? You all right? You doing good? Hope all is well. That's all right. Are you good, though? Yeah, we got to talk. If you're up later, man, I'll hit you up. I'll call you.
Yeah, this reminds me of another case. You and I talked briefly about it. There's this, I forget the guy's name now. He was some sort of third world immigrant in Colorado here. And they caught up to him when he tried to kidnap a 9-year-old from a playground. And the interesting thing is this guy is just so competent about his criminality that the 9-year-old was able to shake himself free and run away from him. The guy's got a rap sheet as long as your arm. And so they pick him up, and the next thing you know, the attorney general is on like Denver 9 News saying, well, we can't do anything because he's got a mental illness. He's done this like a half a dozen times now.
Yeah.
And so we can't do anything because he's got a mental illness, so we're letting him go.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Billy, I'm not ignoring you, dude. We've explained it. All right? If you don't understand, I'm sorry, brother. There's not more I can tell you. We've already explained it. All right?
Yeah, he either said something or he didn't, and the fact is it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but the point that we were trying to get to was, well, did he say something or do something? Because the press was making excuses for the perpetrators. But the excuses had nothing to do with what the guy did or didn't do. We don't think it matters, but the press does, obviously. And yet they're not telling you what the guy did, which I said means he did nothing. So no matter what, he shouldn't have got a beat down. All right, let me see. Back to work. Oh, awesome, dude. I didn't think he'd be able to. Oh, good for you, man. Been hell. Yeah, I'm sure. Hoping to be able to take some. Yeah, people don't know. He got hurt. He got hurt bad. All right. let's get on to the next one, which is, yeah, the Democrats, the registration thing. That's awesome. How you doing, Sheila? Good to see you. Yeah, please, guys, hit the like button if you haven't already. I appreciate it. Let me get down to let me pull it up. So here it is. And this is big here. So study, Democrats losing registration race in all 30 states that actually track party affiliation. 4.5 million voters swing toward GOP. And it's because of all the bullshit they did all through COVID. I would submit all the way back to 2016. All the bullshit they did in 2016 through 2020. Most voting Democrats believe the bullshit from the left. Yeah, Donald Trump's a scumbag. He gets away with whatever. He's a Teflon pro, all that bullshit. They believed it all until they went through 4 years of Joe Biden. Then they were like, holy shit, these people really don't give a shit about us. They don't care, right? They care nothing. Look what they did to us, right? And so they started thinking, all right, Trump's running again. You know what? And then it was Snoop Dogg that came out and said, I got nothing but love for Donald Trump. He let my friend out and he didn't have to. So he gave a pardon to one of his friends. All right. And the guy should have been pardoned. But the fact of the matter is, I believe, okay, it's just me talking, but I believe that the people finally saw that the way things were under Trump and Republicans when they were in charge and how things degraded so badly under Biden and the Democrats. That's what I believe. So, all right. So there we go. The Democratic Party is hemorrhaging support with no end in sight, according to a shocking analysis of new voter registrations. In my state, Scott Pressler, who I met one time, awesome guy, right? He actually flipped 3 counties in Pennsylvania, 3 blue to red counties, he alone, his efforts alone with his team, obviously. Fueled by President Donald Trump's gains among men, younger voters, and Latinos, in 2024, more new voters nationwide chose to be Republicans than Democrats for the first time since 2018, according to a report from the New York Times, which relies on voter registration data compiled by L2, a nonpartisan data firm. Is there any such thing as nonpartisan anymore? Perhaps more troubling for Democrats, the data suggests Democrat Party activists can no longer rely on the party's tried and true methods to reverse the trend, leaving panicked party leaders. You know what they mean by that? Well, I can't tell you what I'll do for if you vote for me, but don't vote for that guy. He hates you. He's a racist pig. No, he hates brown people. That's what they used to do. It ain't working anymore.
Well, they've got nothing except orange men bad.
Yeah, that's all they got.
That's all they got.
And you know what? Jimmy from Philly once again said today, and he's right. Again, he said, Democrats are out there saying the Republicans have failed the American people. The economy is in shambles. I mean, they're talking shit on the Republicans, but people are sitting around scratching their head, go, what country are they living in? Like, what are they talking about? Donald Trump has done, he's secured over $13 trillion of investments. There are buildings that are being built now all around the country from these big time corporations coming back to America, right? Industries are moving back, not just corporate industries are coming back. Chip making, right? From Taiwan, they're sending one of the biggest chip makers. I think he is the biggest. Is spent, what is it, like $5 billion on a building here? And you know how many? It's going to be thousands of jobs, that alone. All right, they're all coming. They're just not here yet because they got to build them. You don't just put a building up in a month, right? So it takes 1 year of a little bit of pain, Trump said, and then the stars the limit. Sky's the limit, whatever you say. Perhaps more troubling for Democrats, the data suggests the activists can no longer rely on third parties' tried and true methods to reverse the trend, leaving panicked pundits how to resurrect the party's electoral prospects. The numbers are stacked. It's going to take them a long time. And I'll tell you what, they may never get back because they all have this tendency to be short-run hedonistic, meaning they want pleasure-seeking now, worry about consequences later. That's what they did during COVID. They forced people to get vaxxed or else they were going to lose their job, right? On the federal side, he forced them all to do it, and he wouldn't take religious exemptions because communists never do. They don't believe in religion, right? So they screwed people so badly, knowing that they're not going to stay in power forever. It goes all the way down to the local level, right? These city council people, they were defunding their police department It got so bad that it was like dial a prayer, right? They had it where they told people, well, we're going to put you through to a line with a voicemail. You're going to answer. You're going to tell us exactly what the problem is. And within 2 or 3 hours, an officer will come out. And they never did. Because they didn't have enough police. And yet they want to win you back. Come on. So you think it would take a decade of them proving themselves again that they give a shit about you, the American voter, right? I don't think they can last that long without going back to their old tried and true. Oh, he's a racist. Don't vote for him. Right? Oh, these people, they just want to steal shit from you, like they've been doing for decades. Right? That I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Now, it's great for the nation, but I don't think So the numbers are staggering. Quote, of the 30 states that track voter registration by political party, Democrats lost ground to Republicans in every single one between 2020 and 2024 elections. What happened between those? Joe Biden happened. And what happened was because Joe Biden was at the top and he allowed through whoever's puppet masters were, they allowed anything goes for the left. Well, then that trickles down to the state level, blue states and blue cities. Anything goes. They were defunding police. They were saying, no bail. Don't worry about bail. Only for like the major crimes. But then they were like cutting bail down to the point where the murderers and whatnot, they could afford it. Right, that's in jurisdictions that didn't have mandatory no bail for murder. Some do, though. Some allow it. Right. But they were lowering it so low they could get out. Right. I mean, think about all the shit they did that made people's lives, the people in their community. Yes, I'm talking about like in black communities, 99 and 44, 100% are God-fearing, hardworking Americans, like everybody else in the damn country. And yet they treated them like they were shit. Because they said, you know what, we're going to let these people be predators on your communities. All right, we're going to let them out. We're not going to lock them up because they thought for some weird reason that the people in the communities would be happy that people of their skin color were not put in prison for doing really bad things to people. It was the dumbest thing they ever thought of. But anyway, that 4-year swing toward the Republicans adds up to 4.5 million voters, a deep political hole that could take years for Democrats to climb out of. Yeah, I don't think they're going to get. Look at this. Look at this map, guys. Holy mackerel. Even PA, blue is down.
Even Colorado.
Yep, Colorado too. You know why? Because Colorado had a spotlight when those Tren de Aragua guys were running up the steps in that apartment building. And the Democrats and media did everything. Remember J.D. Vance? Do you even listen to yourself? Remember Martha Raddatz? Do you even listen to yourself? When she said, it's only a couple of buildings. Really?
Listen to yourself, Martha.
That's what he said. Listen to yourself. Yeah, that was it. Right? So people caught on. They're like, holy shit. And then articles started coming out about how Colorado Democrats are actually out of their minds for a lot of the things that they wanted to do.
And look at the arrow on Florida.
Yeah, I know. Traditionally red. Yeah, all these, I mean, all of them. Utah, even Utah is going.
Well, Utah, you know why the arrow's so small in Utah?
Because it's a all red state.
Because they didn't have a lot to start with.
I know it's one of the most red states out there. But you know what the problem is? The people running the state, the Republicans, a lot of them are rhinos. Why? I don't know, but a lot of them are rhinos in there. It's a problem too.
Yeah, well, that's where Mitt Romney came from.
I know. No states, red, blue, or purple, are immune to the trend. More voters are choosing to be Republicans. Yeah. The trend is simple. Don't treat your constituents like you don't give a damn about them, but yet treat other constituents that you do. You don't pick certain people you like and certain people you don't. The government's not supposed to pick winners and losers. Okay. And they do. Like, the Republicans didn't. No, they don't. Republicans didn't say, well, all these guys of this race are able to get the money from the COVID relief fund and the others have to wait. Joe Biden did that. He actually did that. He told a whole group of people in the country, you have to wait until these other people go first. They had DEI rules in every single department. Trump came in and got rid of it. They called it racist. He said, wait a minute. We're just making it so that everybody is equal. See, there was a day when the entire country for a while thought, okay, so everybody should start at the same starting point. And then on your God-given talents and how much effort you want to put into it, you can build a life for yourself. Well, now it's completely gone the opposite way. What's up, buddy? Come here. My dog just came down. But it's completely the opposite way now. Now that with this DEI crap, Mags, no, go over there. No, don't go on. My German Shepherd sometimes gets crazy. Anyway, so
yeah, wherever you start, it doesn't matter. You're supposed to end up in the same place.
Exactly. It's not supposed to be. See, it's the same opportunities, not the same outcome.
Yeah.
Okay. And they wanted the same outcome no matter what, where they had to knock certain people down to lift other people up. That's not the way it should be. And see, now years ago, you could have made that argument. Like when the civil rights movement was coming, you could make that. There were plenty of people, there were plenty of black people in this country that could do the job that anybody else could. Okay. And they were held back because racist Democrats. All right. In Republican states, you didn't have that problem as much because there were some blue cities in Republican states. But that was a Democrat thing from beginning to end.
Hey, Rich, take a look at the text, Billy blogs, not the last very short one, but the two before that. You might want to bring those up briefly.
Let me see. RPW Media, that is how government chooses the paramilitary group to run the area. I have no idea what you're talking about. What paramilitary group? Let me see. Don't insult Taiwan. No. They are the authentic Chinese. CCP destroyed all of their oh, good Lord.
Yeah, no, before that, there's two long postings by Billy. There's a couple of long texts.
We used Taiwan. We gave them. Where are you from, Billy? I want to see what he says.
Yeah, no, it's going back a little bit.
I know. I just want to see where he says he's from. Are you from the UK?
Essentially, but basically, Billy, we agree with you. I'm looking at your text. We agree with you.
We used Taiwan. We gave them tech to supply the civilized, suitably intelligent population, how work hard for lower wages. Also, it's probably some sort of insurance against invasion. What I think it is, what I think that the largest chip makers coming to the United States, they want to avoid the tariffs and they want to avoid the CCP. So if they move out of there, they don't have to, like, they're bringing most of their operation to here. We were the chip makers. We were the guys that we were the largest chip makers in the world. We were the shit. And then the Democrats let it go overseas. And so Taiwan became that big chip maker. And China says that they have the right to take over Taiwan after that certain amount of time. As a matter of fact, they did the same thing with, they did the exact same thing with Hong Kong, if you remember. And as a matter of fact, Reagan and Lady Thatcher were the ones that told China, why don't you take Hong Kong now? In the 70s, or no, the 80s. They said, why don't you take Hong Kong now? Just go ahead and take them. They're like, no, that's okay. We can wait another 10 years. The reason why, they knew that Hong Kong's capitalism, okay, they knew that Hong Kong was going to be big, fat, and rich. And then they wanted to take them when the time came, and they didn't have to fire a shot. They took one of the richest Asian countries out there. Yeah, exactly. I don't think they're going to. As a matter of fact, their top general argued against it. And when he told, I did a video on this, he told their top general, I forget his name, Hui, whatever. I got it in a video later. It's about, I did a video about how China wants to colonize Australia, Canada, and the United States. And they really do. They really want to colonize, and they want to start with us first. And this general spoke to the CCP, to all the Chi-Coms, like it would be their parliament, if you will, but they're all commies. And he spoke to them, and he gave them the plan. And he told them that they would not start a war over Taiwan. And they said that when they do attack here in the United States, they wouldn't be so, they said they wouldn't be so stupid as to use nukes, because then they wouldn't be able to settle in the United States for so many years. So they basically claimed, their argument was that they should own the United States land anyway, because they were the first ones here. And they were. They came down, I believe, through Alaska, came over, came down, kept going because it was cold here at the time. They came through Canada, United States, and they went south. If you look at a lot of people in South American countries, they look like they have some Asian descent in them. If you do, because there was Asians that were down there. There were Chinese that went down there, but they believe, and Xi Jinping is one of the thorough believers in this. And what he wants to do is they want to colonize the United States. And the way they would get in is they literally said they would use viruses. They would use computer viruses, and they would use actual biological weapon viruses. So they think that COVID was like the first test to see how we would respond to it. And that had like a 99% survival rate. But then they turn around and said, now they're looking at the Nipah virus, which has an 80% death rate. They got a couple others out there, but they got all these labs there now, just like the Wuhan lab doing this shit. But the fact of the matter is, they said that they would hit 4 different regions in the United States, each with a different biological virus and actually computer viruses, so that one region can't help the other. It's literally in his speech. I did a video on it. You might like it, because I point out it was in a book that I read, and I even give the link to the book. I believe I keep it in the description, and it's not expensive at all. But the guy explains the whole thing, and as a matter of fact, there were some Chinese guys that actually wrote their own book, and it's on Amazon, and they explained everything China wants to do. These guys are dissidents. Yeah. We're not helping them do anything. In fact, I don't know if they're going to recover from what Trump did to them. Now, the press started to talk about it. And, Lou, they said that it was actually an 80%. Bongino brought that out, and he brought some medical guy on, some bio guy on, and he said, yeah, it's about an 80%, because what they're doing in the Wuhan lab is they got it up to like 80% death, the Nipah virus. And so they hit that. You know what? If they hit us with that, Trump needs to launch. I'm not kidding either. He needs to launch nukes, because these motherfuckers got away with COVID. They killed like millions of people around the world. And that was a test. Come on. And I honestly think they did it because of Trump's trade deal. Trump had a trade deal where they had to buy $1 billion worth of our agriculture. Plus, he was changing their trade the way they do it. The thing about China is, why we don't know, but they set up their economy so that they have to rely on American consumers purchasing the shit that other countries don't buy. All right. So in other words, 18% of the Chinese buy all their shit, only 18%. And yet we got the money to buy like a bunch of bullshit, like remote controls, the fidget things, that bullshit. We got so much money here that we buy stupid stuff like that all the crap that they manufacture and sell us. All right. In Europe, they don't buy that kind of stuff. They don't have, well, number one, a lot of them don't have the money, but they just don't buy useless things like that to them. It's useless to them. We do. So they made their economy based on the fact that for so much of the money that they have to earn to stay afloat, they relied on us, and Trump knew that and went to them. Yeah, exactly, Gina. How you doing? Good to see you, Gina. Yeah, but boycott all Chinese products because it hurts them. It doesn't hurt us. It hurts them. CCP, assholes. Yeah. Yeah, Fauci gave them a bioweapon. Exactly right. Now, he got a pardon, but Trump is arguing, no, it doesn't count because it was done with an auto pen. And as a matter of fact, there was a story I did last week where they now are saying, yes, we're now going to investigate Fauci and what he did, and there will probably be charges. So
yeah, even if that pardon is valid, charge him, indict him, drag him through the process.
Oh, yeah. Drag him through the process. Make the process the punishment, just like they do to us.
Yeah,
all the freaking time.
And then at the end you go, oh, my bad, sorry.
Yeah, he gave money to a third party, Eco Health Alliance, thinking that would like free him from any problems. He didn't have it. He just gave it to them. He didn't know we were going to give it to Wuhan. Bullshit. Because Barack Obama, which I thought, I still thought it was an outlier of his decision, but he came out and said, he said to Fauci, stop it with the gain of function shit. It's too dangerous. Fauci said, okay. And so what he did was he then funded the Wuhan lab, and I think that version of the virus was it in Boston? it was one of those top states. Probably it was in the university in Boston. I think it was. I could be wrong. And then they shipped it over to Wuhan and then gave them the money. And what that bastard Fauci did, the NIH and NIAID, that he was in charge of, what they had was a board that you had to go through in order to be able to send grant money out anywhere. And they had to vote on it. And Fauci knew that the board would never approve of what he was giving them. And so he bypassed the board. He never took it to them. And he sent the money out anyway. That alone, he should have lost his pension, should have lost his job. He shouldn't have been charged with anything. He should have just lost everything he had, his pension, his job, all that shit. But he went even further. He helped them. Did you just do that, Jade?
I didn't do a thing.
Look, you're going in and out.
Yeah, my camera's doing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because.
But you know what? No bubbles. We haven't seen bubbles in weeks.
Now, see, I ended up activating the wrong camera. I got two cameras. And then by the time that I was messing around with it, with the colors and the saturation, it was like 2 minutes to showtime, and I didn't want to switch back.
Right.
And so you got what you got, kids.
I get it. All right, let's go back to the show. I'm sorry, guys. I talk a lot, I know, but I like to explain shit to the point where you go, shut up, Rich. All right, here we go. This is one that made me smile. I'm very happy if it comes up. Yeah, post-millennial. I did not know this because, like I said, I went away.
Okay, wait a minute.
What?
Billy Blogs, his camera is possessed.
What's that? Whose camera?
I'm assuming he means mine. And
it's her.
I'm assuming that's a typo.
Yeah, her camera is possessed. Yeah. All right, so let's go back. Share. Ready? There we go. CIA Director John Ratcliffe provided Kash Patel access to U.S. intelligence that served as the basis for the warrant to raid John Bolton. I didn't know he got raided until this afternoon. I went away and I didn't look at any news whatsoever. CIA Director John Ratcliffe, who I like, was able to share information with FBI Director Kash Patel that led to the raid on John Bolton's home. Right? Bolton is a former national security advisor to President Donald Trump in his first term. What a waste that was. Human Events Daily host Jack Posobiec revealed on X in an exclusive report CIA Director John Ratcliffe provided. That's the same thing as what we just read. All right. So Bolton disingenuously attacking Trump for mishandling classified information will go down as one of the most audacious and ironic acts of malice in political history, a source familiar with the matter told Posobiec. Bolton shouldn't have been throwing stones in his now raided glass house. Exactly right. The report, and I heard some Andrew Wilkow, one of the best talk show hosts around too. He's on Sirius XM from 12 to 3. You should check him out if you have Sirius XM. He's on the Patriot channel. So he was playing him, and it was just like 2 years ago. And they asked, he was on a TV show. They asked, well, yeah, he had all that classified information. He just probably forgot that he had it. He doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. Donald Trump wrote a memo, a presidential memorandum on January 19, 2021. What was that? It was the day before he left office, which means he was still president. He wrote a presidential memo saying that the documents he had at Mar-a-Lago, he declassified them all, and they were on the Operation Crossfire Hurricane, okay? Which was the Russia bullshit, right? That's why the feds went into his Mar-a-Lago home, because actually Obama wanted to know, not Biden, Obama wanted to know what Trump had. Because he knew, and this is the declassified shit that Tulsi Gabbard just put out. He knew damn right well that Trump had data on him for being the one that said, go after Trump using this Russia shit. Make it up as you go. He literally told them that, because we now saw with the stuff that they had in burn bags, but they forgot to burn the bags. Tulsi Gabbard, God bless her, she declassified data that showed that the ranking people in the intel community did an assessment. That's their job. It's what they do. They're very good at it. They told Obama that the Russians did not have the capacity to change our election before the election. He threw that out. In fact, he put it in a burn bag in a CIA vault, okay? Threw it out and called this meeting of all the high-level intel people, Clapper, Brennan, Comey, all their subordinates were all in this meeting. And he told them, we want you to go full hog against Trump with the Russian collusion shit. I will kick all the Russian diplomats out of the country saying that they infiltrated our election, yada, yada, yada. All right. And the whole time, like what Kash Patel says, no one is above the law. Now, we're saying that a lot on our side because that's all they ever said when they threw lawfare at Trump. No one's above the law, including a president. Well, guess what, Barack? No one's above the law, including a president. Right?
Guess what, Barack? You were right.
Yeah, exactly. Attorney General Pam Bondi, which I know you guys will fucking tell me about the whole Epstein shit. That's another story, okay? Well, she shared Patel's post and stated America's safety isn't negotiable. Justice will be pursued always, okay? And that's on people that literally committed treason. These assholes committed treason. They tried to take down a guy who was a candidate in the other party, but then they tried to take down a duly elected president-elect, and then a duly elected president. I don't give a shit what they say the reasons. Well, we really thought you didn't have the right to do that, and you're not above the law. But the best part, is the next story I'm going to do, which is President Trump, what he said. Ready? You got to hear this. Let's see if we can do it. It's going to be a commercial. I apologize. Hang on. Ugh. I should have did this at a time. Here we go. Watch.
It's not up.
Bolton.
It's not up. It's only you and me on the screen.
Oh, really? I couldn't even hear you. I thought I brought it over. I do this too all the time. I'll bring it back. Where the hell am I? Here I am. I'm sorry. Let me pull this up. I thought I brought it in. Damn, I didn't. All right, this time. Let's go here. All right, I'm going to go back. So this is somebody asked him about John Bolton and the whole the raid, okay?
What did he say?
Life. When I hired him, he served a good purpose because, as you know, he was one of the people that forced Bush to do the ridiculous bombings in the Middle East. Bolton, he wants to always kill people, and he's very bad at what he does.
Guys, look at his hat. Trump was right about everything. You gotta love this guy. Here we go.
But he worked out great for me because every time he doesn't talk, he's like a very quiet person. Except on television, if he could say something bad about Trump, he'll always do that. But he really doesn't talk. He's quiet. And I'd walk into a room with him with a foreign country, and the foreign country would give me everything because they said, "Oh no, they're going to get blown up because John Bolton's there." He's not a smart guy, but he could be a very unpatriotic guy. I mean, we're going to find out. I know nothing about it. I just saw it this morning. They did a raid.
Do you expect the DOJ to brief you on this?
Yeah, they'll brief me. Probably today sometime.
And Foreign Minister,
I tell Pam and I tell the group, I don't want to know, but just you have to do what you have to do. I don't want to know about it. It's not necessary. I could know about it. I could be the one starting it. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer, but I feel that it's better this way.
Foreign Minister Lavrov said no meeting is planned right now between Putin and Zelensky.
He basically said, guys, I heard about it on the news. Hey, what's up, Bobby? Good to see you, man. Yeah, he basically said, I heard about it on the news. And the reason he did that, hey, Ludwig. Oh, wow, everybody's coming in. Awesome. Good to see you, man. Yeah, Commander's here. I know. We haven't seen him in a while. So basically he said he heard about it on the news, right? Bolton's raid. Now, why is that so important? Because that's what Obama said about the Russia shit. Obama said, well, I didn't know about it until I read it on the news. I saw it on the TV. And that's when I learned it. Well, that's what he said about it the whole time. Now we find out through declassified documents that he was the guy that started the whole damn thing. That's so funny. So what Trump is actually saying was, yeah, I told him to go after Bolton. Yeah, it was me. Because he did the same thing what they did to him, right? That's funny as hell. Let me see. What's that? Rebuild the framework. Add a note for Dr. J. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah. He's all over the board today. I love Billy, but he's all over the fucking board. I'm
Yeah.
chilled. I have a question everything now in the infinite recursive loop. I admit fundamental assumptions are needed. Yes, this is true. Let me see. What else am I missing here?
You want to talk
Oh, you
about
gotta go. Gotta go get the wife. Yeah, okay, brother. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for being here, man.
Are we going to the one about the UK censorship? I'm looking
Chris is-
forward to that one.
Yeah, we're gonna do that one now. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go down. I just wanted to do that one. Let me see. Where is Adam Schiff? Yeah, here we go for our UK guys. So UK censorship, and we know that this is a problem, right? UK censorship tyrants just bent the knee to President Trump. So what is this? UK censorship tyrants just caved to Trump. That's right. Let's chalk up another win for Trump in his global war against censorship. And for a change of pace, this time the battlefield wasn't DC, it was London, where left-wing bureaucrats were trying to force Apple to build a secret backdoor into every single iPhone on the planet. The excuse they came up with was to fight criminals. But anyone who's been paying attention since the dreaded Patriot Act knows exactly how this game works. These kinds of tools always end up being turned on the ordinary people, especially those who dare to speak out against the political ruling class. I've said this all along. I don't like George Bush. I liked his economy until the Democrats destroyed it in 08 and then blamed him. But everything else, I thought he was weak. But he came out with the Patriot Act, and it was literally written in there. It was only supposed to be used against foreign terrorists. That was it. It was Barack Obama who flipped it around, changed a couple of rules, which he didn't have the right to do without Congress being involved, and started sicking it on political enemies, meaning anybody that didn't like him. All right. So they're right that these things are not supposed to, the Patriot Act was not supposed to be against the American people. In fact, he used the Patriot Act to drone kill an American father and his son who hadn't been charged with anything. And for those who aren't up on what was happening behind the scenes, here's a backstory. Apple's encryption keeps data private, text, photos, banking info, health records, you name it. But once you open a tech backdoor, that protection is gone. Hackers and the government can get in and exploit it. And in today's political climate, where left-wing leaders openly punish dissent, it's not hard to imagine how fast this security measure would have been weaponized against regular people. Thankfully, President Trump wasn't having it. Here we go. He, along with Tulsi Gabbard and Vice President J.D. Vance, leaned hard on the UK to back off this crackpot idea. And it worked. The Brits caved, and their scheme to force Apple into betraying Americans' privacy went up in smoke. Now, I'm going to tell you something. If Apple did that and went along with it anyway, just for the UK, but I mean, in other words, the UK told them you got to do it for every in the world. If they did that just to pacify the UK, I would say shut Apple down. Good, because that is blatant right there. And here we go. Does that mean now that we can say that the UK government are a bunch of fucking fascists? Because that's what fascists do. They force a private corporation to do their dirty work for them because they can't as the government. That's exactly what the Biden administration did when they did censorship through all the social media platforms. Well, that's exactly what the UK government was trying to do to Apple. And Apple probably would have caved, too, if Trump didn't step in. Tulsi summed it up perfectly in a tweet that exposed how close we came to losing this fight, which is truly terrifying. So she wrote, over the past few months, I've been working closely with our partners in the UK alongside POTUS and VP to ensure Americans' private data remains private and our constitutional rights and civil liberties are protected. As a result, the UK has agreed to drop its mandate for Apple to provide a backdoor that would have enabled access to the protected encrypted data of American citizens and encroached our civil liberties. Now, what she means is everybody, but she only works for the United States. So what she meant was they were going to do it to everybody. The only reason this terrifying ploy didn't go through is because President Trump's administration applied so much pressure. The UK government, here you go, UK government walks back controversial Apple backdoor demand after Trump administration pressure. So we don't have to read all that. So the fact of the matter is Trump pretty much saved everybody screwed over by the UK government. And I know none of you guys agree with their bullshit. We know that. Hey, Pam, what's going on? Good to see you. You say, you. Let's say, Obama knows exactly how big. No. Saying hi to everybody. Go. All right, cool. Oops. Yeah, Commander's back. I'm still happy about that. I like the guy. Here we go. Here's another one I'm going to bring up. Okay, so that. Let's go. Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee pledge additional National Guard troops.
The story isn't up, Rich.
Oh, it isn't? Oh, yeah. All right. What the hell? I just told it to go up. I said it and I went in and didn't grab it. Why? Is it now?
Now it's coming up.
Yeah, but it said it was up before. There's two tabs you guys don't see. One says stop sharing. The other one says the tab. They were up. That's kind of weird. All right. Usually it is me, but all right. Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee pledge additional National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. Total 6 GOP. I won't read it. I'll just reiterate what I said earlier for people that weren't here. So what Trump is doing is he's saying we're going to clean up the streets and we're going to use National Guard because I have the right to do it. He does. You know, the Dems always say, it's unconstitutional. They've never read the goddamn Constitution, so they don't know. Okay, they just everything they don't like, they say it's unconstitutional. All right, but so what's going on is Trump not only is helping to clean up, right, but only red states have sent Guard troops there. So what's he doing? He doesn't even have to say it. You know, it's headlines like this: total 6 GOP-led states sending troops. Well, how many Democrats? None. I don't think there's any. I could be wrong. I'll read a little bit. 3 more Republican states have pledged to send their National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. to help the Trump administration rid the streets of dangerous criminals and homeless vagrants, who many of them are dangerous criminals. Let's see. That's Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee. The latest pledge 500 additional troops. That's nice. That's good because it shows that now, like, who would have thunk it that Donald Trump, of all people, would have brought the Republicans together? Yeah, because you still had those, I don't like Trump, you know, because they didn't want, like, the liberals to trash them in the news. Now they don't care. A lot of them don't really care anymore. The rhinos are being real quiet, except when they think that they can get some money somehow through an NGO or something. If they say something against Trump, who cares? They've got no power. They just got to vote. But the thing is that Trump is basically setting it up to say, look, once again, to the American people, the Democrats don't give a shit. We're trying to rid the capital city, you know, of criminals. We're trying to make it safe again out there because all these people are being killed. And what does Muriel Bowser do? She did a 180 real quick. She said that she was okay with it, and then all of a sudden she said, you know, he's an authoritarian. We can't have him in here. Yeah, somebody got to her. So now they're pointing out, well, Muriel Bowser actually doesn't give a shit about the people in her city. So I just think it's great that this is what they call the 4D chess, because he does something that's actually the right thing to do, and he knows it should be done, but then he makes it so that the Democrats won't do it because he's doing it. I just love it. It's sending such a message. Let's see. Let's do the next to last one on the top part. Here we go. So we're going to do Russia hoax. Ed Martin from PJ Media. The Russia hoax is about to blow up. Schiff and Biden's DOJ are next. Ed Martin, the director of the Department of Justice Weaponization Working Group, joined Maria Bartiromo on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures, that's Fox Business, for an explosive interview about ongoing investigations into government abuse of power. Martin confirmed that his office is reviewing criminal referrals of Senator Adam Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and matters tied to the Russia hoax and January 6 investigations. Now, a lot of people go, why the fuck aren't they charging them yet? Well, because investigations, especially when you're going against the left, okay, you got to cross every T, dot every I. You got to make sure every damn thing you do is covered and is proper and true. That's what you have, and it takes a while to do that, especially when deep state people are hiding shit from you. So Bartiromo opened by asking Martin to assess a decade of dirty tricks against Donald Trump. Martin agreed, saying the DOJ's weaponization working group, launched under Attorney General Pam Bondi, is tasked with uncovering the truth. Quote, we've got more stuff going on. A lot of it we can't talk about because of the nature of it, but it's going like crazy. So in other words, they really are doing shit behind the scenes. Again, I'll believe it when I see it, but it sounds like they really are trying to get to the bottom of all this shit and that charges are coming. He credited Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard with declassifying materials tied to the Russia hoax and forwarding them as a criminal referral. Quote, what we have in the Department of Justice now is a weaponization working group and the backing of our leadership to go find this stuff, he explained. He said his team can trace the origins of the hoax precisely. We know now the birthday of the Russia hoax. It's December 8, 2016, where the Obama administration, including Obama, said, don't put the truth. It's what I said earlier. Don't put the truth out, lie, and ask the media to help us. And the Washington Post and others jumped right in. Martin confirmed allegations go beyond Schiff's role in pushing false collusion claims. Quote, there's a referral from Bill Polt about a mortgage fraud about Adam Schiff. What is it with these Democrats and mortgage fraud? They're all coming down with mortgage fraud cases. I don't know what it is. They thought they could get away with this. That's publicly discussed. His own lawyers have been out there. Now there's more on Adam Schiff, and all we're going to do again is get to the facts of this and use all the tools that we have in our system. Martin drew a stark picture of Biden's Justice Department targeting everyday Americans. Joe Biden's Justice Department actively targeted American citizens, Catholics who went to Mass, parents who went to school boards, he said. Carter Page was destroyed by the Russia hoax, and we're sitting around and pretending it's okay. Martin added that those involved in orchestrating the hoax, including Obama officials in December 2016 Situation Room meeting, that's the meeting I told you about, must face consequences. Quote, it wasn't really bad. It needs to be held accountable in every way we can. Martin confirmed he had personally visited James Brooklyn property after a referral raised questions. One of the referrals is about that property that she has. It's a very prominent neighborhood in Brooklyn, and I wanted to lay eyes on it, he said. If you're prosecuting something, be careful. He declined to give specifics, but hinted at grand jury activity. When you get a criminal referral, one of the tools you have is a grand jury, and I'll leave it to you to infer what that means. So in other words, yes, shit is happening behind the scenes. Yeah, I know, publicly. They're not just sitting around telling us that things are going on. Things are actually going on. And I think we're going to see things before the end of the year.
Yeah, and I like everyone else, is chomping at the bit and wish things would happen faster, but you can't do it, because if you don't dot your I's and cross your T's, you're going to get there, and you're going to have...
think of a left-wing judge will throw it out in a heartbeat if there's one little thing wrong. Or an appellate court. I mean, you think about that. They will throw that shit out faster than you can read.
Even a conservative judge is going to look at this and say, I wish I could go through with it, but
I can't.
This isn't done, so right. I have to do this.
And the leftist courts would throw it out with prejudice, meaning you can't bring it up again.
Yeah, the leftist courts would really do it, but you just really have to be careful about how you do these things. You can't rush into it.
Absolutely, that's true. All right, let's see. Here's one too. This will get you. What Trump's doing. He's going mental about mail-in ballots. Right?
I certainly hope so, because we've had universal mail-in balloting here in Colorado for years.
Yeah.
And, guess who's all behind that? Jared Polis and his minions.
Oh, really?
And because that's how they ended up getting in power, because in 1996, we were kind of red, and the early 2000s here in Colorado was purple. And then basically Jared Polis teamed up with a couple other billionaires, and what's that?
I said it figures. The billionaires jump in.
Yeah, a couple other billionaires, and I can't remember the names right now, but basically came in and did a bunch of stuff and managed to get themselves elected.
Yeah.
And then when the pandemic hit, they put the cherry on top because they said, okay, no more. We can't do in-person balloting. This is, we have to. Um, okay,
I'm sorry.
you
I'm
just
sorry.
did.
I just had to show that. Effing
Okay.
disgusting. Some asshole just farted in my pants, and it really stinks.
Okay. Well, that's more than I needed to know.
There's no pronouns. Yeah. Substitute or rephrase. No pronoun. Yeah. All right. Whatever. So go ahead. Finish up. Jade.
Oh, well, yeah. No, just during the COVID, they just sealed the envelope. They just said, yeah, obviously we have to continue universal mail-in balloting, and COVID
Crazy,
went
huh?
away, and it didn't go away. So
What's up, Special K? Yeah.
that was the lock
Well, the
on it.
mail-in balloting was just what it did is it made their spigot system go nuclear. That's all it did. They were cheating already, but now when they could actually send ballots out to people that didn't exist, and Democratic operative people that died or moved out of the state, and Democratic operatives would get them, fill them out for Joe Biden and mail them it. No, we can't have it.
Well, no, in Colorado, one of the things is they go around and they collect the ballots from university
ballot
dormitories, from university dorms.
Yeah, well, ballot harvesting. I don't know if it's legal there. Hey, Dawn, what's going on? I didn't see. I'm sorry. How you doing, Dawn?
Yeah, I don't think it's legal, but they would basically grab a bunch of because the students would come in and list their address as their university dorm, and then they may or may not be there when the ballots are made out.
And then they vote at home too.
But those ballots would get collected by people and filled out.
Right. See, ballot harvesting was a brilliant idea that the Dems came up with, which is why in some states they made it very quickly. They made a law because you think about it. You think about what they did, especially the Democratic Party. They have a bunch of people that are too lazy to go down the street and vote on Election Day, especially if it rains. That was a big thing. We used to laugh about it when I was a kid. If it rained in many Democrat communities, they would not go outside to vote. Even if it was just a block, they just wouldn't do it. So what they came up with, they said, we could gain like thousands of votes if we just went to their doors, people that we know are registered, but they don't go vote. And we just say, look, here's your ballot. Just sign it here and we'll take it in for you. You can't get any easier. Right. And that's what they did. And they got away with it because who was going to stop them in blue cities? No one.
Yeah. I mean, you can have early voting.
Hold on. Billy, what the hell are you talking about?
I don't know what's going on with Billy.
I know. He's on drugs or something. Dude, what are you doing tonight? I won't compromise anymore or I will go insane and you would be oppressing me.
Yeah, and then
seriously not talking to us because we don't know what the hell.
The last thing that he put up, I have no idea what that means. So
I might be overstepping here, but I think he's talking to us. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand Billy.
Yeah, he's a good guy, so I'm not going to yell at him. But
no, we're not ragging on you, Billy. But
something's going on, man, and I don't like people being upset in the chat. So, Special K, what's going on, man? I'm really glad to see you here. Has anybody seen Jeremiah? I haven't seen him he hasn't been here for weeks. I'm wondering what's going on with him. Did I say something to piss him off? I don't know. Let me go through this. All right. Jeremiah, if you're watching this, come back, man. We miss you. All right. President Donald Trump has been warning for years that mail-in ballots and voting machines are riddled with vulnerabilities that invite fraud and undermine trust in elections. Yes. We've discussed these vulnerabilities here at PJ Media extensively, and now Trump is taking action on them. Good. On Monday morning, President Trump announced on Truth Social that he will issue an executive order to put an end to mail-in ballots before the 2026 midterms and restore honesty and integrity. Now, I think legally he can only do that for federal elections. I don't think he can do it for state because he doesn't have any jurisdiction there. But still, that helps America, believe me. In a lengthy post on Truth, but you know what that is, guys? That's like in a lot of these blue states, they're saying, oh, well, the illegals, they're allowed to vote. Well, they won't vote in regular federal elections. On state and city, say, yeah, they should be allowed to vote. Sure, they're not voting in federal elections. Okay, come on. We know they did. In a lengthy post on Truth Social, he announced, I am going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots and also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines. Does that mean that Dominion Voting Systems is going to start suing him now? And that means that during discovery, Trump's lawyers, some of the smartest people out there, that they're going to be able to look inside their machines and see what the hell's going on? Is that what's going to happen? He argued that such machines cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. He's right. He said that all along. Paper's the only way to honestly do it. Trump said the United States stands alone in continuing to use widespread mail-in voting. Now, what he means by that is that in 2020, they just sent it out to millions of people, whether you asked for it or not. You're supposed to ask for a mail-in ballot. All right. That's what they did with the absentees. But they said, no, we got to get rid of Trump. We're just going to send them to everybody. And we know the people that died or left. We're just going to grab them up when they get mailed and we're going to fill them out. That's what they did. All others gave it up because of the massive voter fraud encountered, he wrote. The president made clear that he intends to act quickly, pledging to use executive authority to move the plan forward. We will begin this effort, which will be strongly opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels never seen before by signing an executive order to help bring honesty to the 2026 midterm elections, Trump said. He's right. He's right about all of it. He also challenged the notion that states hold full control over election administration. Right. Remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes for federal elections. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the president of the United States, tells them for the good of our country to do, not state. He should have put that in there, but he didn't. But that's what he means because Article 1, Section 4 says state legislatures have the right to create laws. And if they create a mail-in ballot law, they can. But then the Congress can step in. The feds can step in and say, for federal elections, no, you can't, because you're using it to cheat. Trump reiterated that elections cannot be trusted under the current system. Quote, elections can never be honest with mail-in ballots / voting. And everybody, in particular, the Democrats, know this, he declared. That's right. That's the way they win elections now. He then vowed that he would not back down. I and the Republican Party will fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity back to our elections. Now, guys, he's saying this at the same time that the Democrats are trying to convince people that Republicans redistricting in red states are trying to steal an election, and they want to bring honesty. Yeah. So when the Democrats gerrymander, which they do whenever they're in charge, right? They're doing it because they want honest elections. When Republicans do it, it's because they want to cheat. And see, this is why they're down to like 19%, according to a Quinnipiac poll. They're down to like 19%. He ended his post with an urgent warning about the stakes. The mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines that are complete and total disaster must end now. Remember, without fair and honest elections and strong and powerful borders, you don't have even a semblance of a country. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Trump concluded, signing off as Donald Trump, President of the United States. He's just 100% right. We have to get rid of that shit. And I'm going to contend to this too. Every single one of these freaking gourmet rules, these gourmet ways of voting. All right. You can vote from home. You can vote early, like it's going to be election month instead of election day, right? Or election week, right? You're going to be able to vote all these different ways. Fuck that. If it's my right to vote, yeah, but with rights comes responsibility. So get your ass down to the polling place and vote in person. What is this? I don't understand, Jade. I am telling you the limits. I will respect you and call you Jade. I have to remember to avoid pronouns. I hope this is enough. I have no idea what he means. You didn't say anything.
We were talking about the one earlier. I'm not sure what you mean, Billy. I'm not bullying anybody. I just was pointing out that you said
you're already bullying me with it. I don't know.
I'm not bullying.
I'm not.
You said something about his. I'm a her, and always have been.
More than they go away. I'm sick of this shit. All right.
Yeah, I'm a female, always have been, and this is not a pronoun game. I just happen to be a woman. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. All right. So Let's see. What's the next one? Oh, yeah. Did you guys know there was another assassination attempt on Trump? Of course not, because I don't want to tell you. So, Life Zet, which Laura Ingraham, I think that's her gig. There was another assassination plot against Trump. Woman arrested in D.C. There's a video, but let's read a little bit. U.S. Attorney Judge Jeanine Pirro, who I love, confirmed Monday that a woman traveling from New York to Washington, D.C. has been taken into custody for allegedly plotting to assassinate President Donald Trump. So let's get down. Where is it? Here we go. This is her.
Hi, everyone. It's Judge Jeanine. I just wanted to let you know here from the United States Attorney's Office in D.C. that an individual by the name of Nathalie Rose Jones is now in custody, charged with 2 federal crimes for knowingly and willfully threatening to take the life of the President of the United States. She did come from New York to Washington, D.C., and she has been threatening and calling for the removal of the president, and even worse, as she got to D.C., her threats were on Facebook and Instagram, and she continued to call the president a terrorist and was working to have him eliminated. She is now in custody. She will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Good. There you go. How about that? How come it wasn't on front page news? Because they don't care. I know, doesn't she? She looks awesome for her age, and I think she's just awesome. You ever see her on a 5? Holy mackerel! She's a pip, man. She's one of these women that like you'll go through this whole mellifluous tones explaining yourself, and she'll just go bullshit. It just goes right over you. She'll just bowl right over. I love her. I can see what's going to happen already. Damn, Billy.
I think we need to drop this.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I don't know. Maybe he's just fucking with us to see how much time he can take up. I
don't know.
She has great genes. Yeah, you're right.
There you go.
She has great genes. Yeah. Was that whole thing bullshit or what? The whole thing about, well, why didn't they hire her to do it? Because that wasn't their target audience, bro. You know? I mean, think about that. How stupid was that? Yeah, we don't have to read it, but J.D. Vance broke another tie. God bless him, as the Senate Republicans push forward on Trump's $9 billion spending cut plan. That's a good thing. All right, let's see. A voter registration loss. We did that. USA meddling right-wing elections. Oh, boy, here we go. So here's another one. It's by USAID. Okay, ready? Want proof USAID was meddling in right-wing foreign elections? Well, here you go. Here we go. For decades, USAID has sold itself as a humanitarian agency handing out aid to struggling nations. But that wasn't the case. As soon as folks started digging, an entirely different story was uncovered. As it turns out, USAID has quietly served as a front for left-wing political experiments, funneling U.S. taxpayer money into projects that prop up globalist and crush populist movements all over the world. What did I say? I said these NGOs get this USAID money, and then they go out there and they fund all these globalist bullshit, and which all trash the United States. They've been doing it for years, and we've been paying for it. Mike Benz, executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, check that out because he's real good, has been digging into the Brazil story, and what he's found is damning. The trail of breadcrumbs shows USAID's fingerprints all over Brazil's censorship regime, which looks a heck of a lot like the same lawfare and censorship tactics that were unleashed against President Trump and his supporters. Earlier this month, Mr. Benz testified before the Brazilian Congress on how USAID helped build the censorship state in Brazil. The only recording was in Portuguese, but he's promised to prepare an English version for Americans to see and hear. So this matters because Brazil has become a literal playground for left-wing censorship. Yeah, it is. That communists got in. The regime there has been using North Korea-style tactics against their own people. They've banned populists from running for office, censored political speech online, and persecuted dissidents. And it all centers around one corrupt judge, Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. Look at that. De Moraes, whatever, is the crooked judge at the center of Brazil's political crackdown. He banned tropical Trump tropical Trump, they call him Jair Bolsonaro, all right, from running again, censored his allies on social media and turned Brazil's judiciary into a lethal weapon against populism.
He also let Lula out of prison, I think,
This
him.
is what the communists do. It's the same lawfare playbook we saw Dems run in the U.S. There you go. But President Trump and his allies, Marco Rubio and Revolver's Darren Beattie, aren't standing by. Marco Rubio recently announced sanctions on Demares, whatever, and his pals, with visa revocations already set to fly, pun intended. It was the first major shot across the bow and a message that America won't tolerate this regime exporting censorship. Now, here's the thing about Brazil. Brazil allowed China to pay them billions of dollars so that they could build military ports along with their port. Now, why was that important? Because Brazil is like the breadbasket of the world. They feed a lot of the world, and China wanted to control that shit. But I think what happened was Trump, when he first got in, he made a couple of phone calls and they said, get out to the Chinese. The same thing happened in Panama. The Panama people for the canal, they said, get out. And they lost one of their ports already. I think they're fighting in court over there to keep the second one. At this point, Brazil doesn't, this is from Revolver. At this point, Brazil doesn't even resemble a free country. It's morphing into North Korea 2.0 with a full-blown censorship regime, political lawfare, and a lunatic judge running the whole operation like a Stalinist LARPer. Look, what happens is the communists always take over a country that was doing really well, and they turn it into a shithole. Look at Venezuela. Venezuela was one of the richest countries. Well, they were the richest country in South America, but they were one of the richest countries in the world. They had everybody was free. It was a great society. And then the dumbasses elected Chavez, and he just destroyed it. And now, what's his name? I can't remember his name right now. But the other guy who's in there now is just Maduro. He's running things probably even worse because he now has it so that he's sending squads of prisoners. He's letting them free if they promise to go into the United States and cause havoc. That's what he did. And so our press tried to poo-poo it when Trump was saying that. Like, they're sending their worst from insane asylums and their prisons. Oh, no, they're not. Well, now we have actual proof that they were. So the moral of the story is the left just screws everything up that they touch.
Well, Trump said it. Everything woke turns to ish.
What a belting road, Wang Hong Lo. Oh, my God. What's up, Nelson? Let me see. What else they saying? We need to explain what on Billy Earth. No one here supports pronoun BS now. I know. Thank you, Special K. Nobody does, but I think he's just being that way to see if he can get away with it, or I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, but we like him from the past, so I'm not going to boot him.
Yeah, nobody here on the show, and nobody watching.
Nobody's ever. Yeah.
Nobody associated with this buys into pronoun BS.
Yeah, it's a bunch of horse shit. Let's see what else is there. Proof. Let's see. Update. Yeah, the Whitmer FBI scam. Can you believe this? It's still going on.
One thing that story didn't say about USAID, it's also a CIA front.
Yeah, it did that too. They funded a lot of wars around the world. They really did.
Yeah, it was also. I guess it's not anymore, but
Clutie.
It was a CIA front.
I don't know what that means. What does Clutie mean? Is that an Aussie word? Dawn, you're from Australia, right? Are you familiar with Courage is the Cure? Robin? She does Relentless. I was on Relentless last week. I was on her show. I did like an hour. Had a lot of fun. And I'm going to have her on this show, as a matter of fact. She's pretty cool. She's 100%. She's crowdsourced, like crowdfunded, 100%. She doesn't want to be owned by anybody, which I think is really respectable. Grog is not the cure. Yeah, all right. All right, let's see. What was I doing? Yeah. Update on anybody. You guys remember? Jade, you remember that case, right?
The Whitmer kidnapping thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. What a piece
But
of
you know
there was more FBI agents in the room than there was.
Right. Do you know what
guys.
it was, though? Do you know what it was? It was a false flag operation by the DNC. I'm telling you right now, they built this thing and they got the FBI to get involved because they wanted, look, the Democrats have always, for years, they've had death by 1,000 cuts. They have these stupid little stories that go out there and people go, oh, man, look at that. They tried to kidnap, some MAGA people tried to kidnap Whitmer, right? And they never hear the part because usually before now they never got to the part showing that the entire thing was thrown out because the judge realized he learned that there were more FBI agents involved and that the FBI agents are the ones that talked the supposed terrorists into doing it, right? But they did that so that people would say, like, even if the story came out and said, wow, the judge found that out, what I just said, the Democrats would still, in their mind, the voters, they go, well, you know what, he did have the MAGA people must be crazy because they tried to kidnap Whitmer, forgetting the fact, of course, because people only think of the negative when it comes to politics, right? So they do like 1,000 things like that, all bullshit. But then eventually you go, you know what, this Trump must be a real prick because look at all the stuff he's involved in. That's what they do. So
yeah, you're having problem with your camera and mic synchronization.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm looking at myself.
Now it's
right
better.
now.
Okay, I think it's caught up. I think it caught up.
All right. Sorry about that. Cracker Barrel CEO, BlackRock funded. Yeah. She's a liberal, whatnot. Yeah, they took off the cracker and the barrel. That's what they did. They took off the cracker and the barrel. Now everybody's going nuts. Me personally, I never went there anyway, and I probably won't.
I went there. There's nothing I can eat at a Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
There's nothing I can eat there because everything is biscuits and sausage gravy.
Oh, good for you, Linda. Yeah, she is great, isn't she? Yeah, she asked me if I wanted to come back on. I said, absolutely. I had a great time. Although it was 6:00 in the morning, my time, which, you know what, for her, I did it, but nobody else I would, right? But it was 6:00 because it was 8:00 there. So, and she did offer, though. She offered that she could do, like, we'd do a pre-record, but I didn't want to do that to her because she does live, and I respect that. So, but I would absolutely, I don't care if it'd be 4:00. I would do it. Yeah, because she's real cool. She's good. She's professional, and I like her. And she does kind of like what we do here, let's call it. She tries to go after the people that are bullshitting you in government. And I like that. We all like that. So that's what I like about her. But I'm going to have her on here too. I'm going to talk to her. I'll probably email her tonight or tomorrow and ask her like what dates are good for her. And we'll bring her on because I like her. So we'll bring her on for a segment or two if she has the time. Yeah, but she's a busy person too. When I did an hour with her and she goes, all right, up next, and I'm like, wow, she's going to do another one, right? Another interview. That was pretty cool. But anyway, all right, so let's get on with this. So in October,
and this obviously this was a DNC false flag because I mean we've already established that, and they're not even denying this. There were like twice as many FBI as there were MAGA people.
Yeah.
And the FBI people were the ones that made the suggestion and spurred it on. This wasn't an idea of anybody but the FBI guys. Yeah. So at the very, very least, it's entrapment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why the judge had to throw it out. But in October 2020, just weeks before the U.S. presidential election, well, I'm sorry. You know what else they did? They did things like when what's his name? Governor of Virginia. I forget his name.
Youngkin. Glenn Youngkin.
Thank you. Glenn Youngkin. Yeah. When he was running Republican, he was going to take it. They knew he was going to win. And it was all because Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat running, who was governor before, was such a jackass that he told American parents that, no, you don't have any right to tell the teachers and the school board what they're going to teach your children. I'm sorry.
That's how Youngkin won. That's how Youngkin won.
Youngkin said, of course the parents have a right to what their kids are going to learn in the classroom, especially when they want to do this trans stuff, right? And he won. Everybody knew it. So what did they do? Glenn Youngkin has a campaign stop, and he's giving a speech, right? And he's doing a rally, if you will, right? And so they go and they put these buses like out in front of the Glenn Youngkin buses. They have these guys that come as white supremacists, all dressed in like the tan pants and whatever color shirt they use, and standing there with tiki torches, right? And they're saying they're for Glenn Youngkin, right? But one of the guys was a black guy. They were supposed to be like Klansmen, if you will, right? Like white supremacists. And one of the guys dressed with him is a black guy. And I'm like, are they like being serious here? Like, what's going on?
Somebody missed the point.
And yeah, and you know what? And you know who funded that? It was the Lincoln Project.
Ah.
Yeah, remember the groomers and all that? It was the Lincoln Project. There were a bunch of rhinos. Now I think the Republicans got rid of them. But it was the Lincoln Project who hated Trump. And they just made a boatload of money off of saying they hate Trump and they need you to donate so they could try to get him out of office. Right. And they're the ones that allegedly funded it. And here it was like people just saw right through it. You know, they put a black guy there. Oh my God. It was hilarious. And the guy wasn't even laughing. He was just, yeah, I hate white or black people too. You know, it's crazy. And
talking about teaching your kids, do you remember what Trudeau said at one point? He said something to the effect of there are somebody asked him about parental rights, and he says there aren't parental rights. There are no parental rights. There are parental responsibilities.
Right.
So you couldn't tell your kid that they were wrong when they wanted to get various medical procedures.
You were responsible if they did something wrrong.
Yeah, you're responsible, but
jackass.
Yeah.
Well, when he came out and said about the truckers, when he called them people with what was it, unacceptable views?
Yeah,
that's when I said, that motherfucker's he's a communist. He's a communist straight up through. You didn't no doubt left when he used that terminology.
You didn't have to go that far. He publicly came out with admiration for the CCP during COVID, and he said,
they
what
did
a good system. And you can actually, great job. You can get things done. He admired them for, being able to just get things done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin Trudeau, man.
Yeah, I know.
What a piece of work.
I know, he's a piece of crap. All right, so let's get on with it. So in October 2020, just weeks before the U.S. presidential election, headlines exploded with the claim that a group of Trump-supporting conservative men, and none of them were Trump supporters, by the way, had been arrested for plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. The timing was a little too perfect. So his revolver has covered the Whitmer fednapping. It was a fednapping plot in great detail. All right, so it has, look at this. See, Whitmer, come on, do something to the guy. Do something, right? So President Trump himself took great interest in our reporting, right? So he pushed it, right? Wow, he pushed it all because he understood. In an exclusive interview with Revolver, documentary filmmaker Christina Urso recaps out how the case unfolded, how the FBI ran the operation from start to finish, and how that was under Mueller. Mueller was the first one to start doing that. All right, make the FBI go out there and entrap people, right? And how the justice system turned a blind eye to serious constitutional violations. The first red flag, quote, I first heard about the case in October 2020, Christina recalls. Whitmer came out smirking, not the reaction of someone just informed of a violent plot against her. It fell off, especially with Michigan being a swing state right before the election. It reminded her of PatCon, a past FBI operation targeting right-wing groups. Quote, it felt like the same playbook. FBI engineered entrapment dressed up as domestic terror prevention. And it was because of this case that the Democrats, the president of the United States, warm diarrhea brains, Biden, that he kept saying, these white supremacist groups, the MAGA people, it was because of that case that he was able to say something like that, even though it was like proven to be false flag. Entrapment or full fabrication. The FBI deployed at least 12 informants, 2 undercover agents, and a multiple online covert employees to create fake militia groups on platforms like Facebook. Quote, they paid informants, created training events, and even gave these working class men drugs and alcohol, then used their intoxicated words as evidence, Christina explains. That's crazy, man. This is the feds doing that. None of the 14 men had committed violence. Most had no criminal history and were represented by underpaid or negligent public defenders. Only 2 out of the 14 could afford private counsel, legal railroading, and sabotaged appeals. The first federal trial resulted in 2 acquittals and 2 mistrials, but the retrial was plagued by procedural irregularities. Time limits were imposed on the defense, but not on the prosecution. That means that the feds got to them. A juror accused of misconduct was made foreman. Both Adam Fox and Barry Croft were convicted and sent to Florence ADX Supermax prison despite having no prior records. This is like the J6 people, what they did to them. Fox's court-appointed attorney, Stephen Nolder, submitted a weak 75-page appeal brief lacking exhibits, omitted one of the charges, and failed to consult his client. As a result, Fox missed his Supreme Court filing deadline and now has no legal representation. In contrast, Croft's lawyer, Tim Sweeney, submitted a 300-page brief with 150 pages of exhibits and worked closely with Croft. The FBI scripted the plot, including the ringleader. According to Christina, the true ringleader wasn't Adam Fox. It was FBI informant Dan Chappell or Chappelle, whatever. Let's say Chappelle. Chappelle infiltrated a prepping group, transformed it into a militia, assigned leadership roles, conducted tactical training, and organized events. Quote, he taught them how to shoot and clear rooms while the FBI filmed everything, says Christina. This is crazy. Another informant, a felon and convicted pedophile, created a fake United States Patriot 3 Percenters militia and named Fox as Michigan chapter head. This was later used as evidence of leadership. The FBI planned the recon missions. Special Agent Jason Chambers, while moonlighting with a private intelligence company, arranged recon trips to Whitmer's vacation home. Informants packed up defendants, got them high, and filmed the trips. Now remember, the informants were FBI people. One defendant, Eric Molitor, didn't even know the destination until they were nearly there, and was asked by Chappelle to Google the address so his search could be used as evidence. Staged violence and media theater. The FBI ran the operation like a movie set. Drones, mobile command centers, undercover agents with code names, and rehearsed shoot house drills. But Christina insists it wasn't criminal. It was a standard militia exercise planned, paid for, and recorded by the FBI. Key government tactics. Informants gave the FBI login credentials to script online communications. FBI informants chaired meetings, bought supplies, built shoot houses, and provoked violent talk. Informants tricked men into attending fake training at Whitmer's cottage. What? Defense teams were barred. They went to Whitmer's cottage to train. Are you kidding? So she was in on it. Defense teams were barred from showing the full chat logs for context. Now, think about this. Why would a judge actually not allow a defense to put on their defense? Because the judge is in on it. There's no question about that. It's like another Juan Merchan case here. All right. Supreme Court petition, last hope for justice. Cross petition to the U.S. Supreme Court raises vital constitutional questions. Was Cross right to present a defense violated? Yes. Should the court have applied the Chapman standard, proving errors are harmless beyond reasonable doubt? Yes. Did the Sixth Court wrongly penalize Croft for not testifying in his defense? Yes. Despite less than a 1% chance of review, Christina says this case is too egregious to be ignored. Adam Fox abandoned by the system. Fox's appeal was sabotaged by his own attorney. The Sixth Circuit refused his request for new counsel, and he missed the Supreme Court deadline. We said that. He now has no legal path forward. Only a presidential pardon can help. And I hope Trump pardons him. Others still in prison. 3 other men, Joe Morrison, Paul Beller, and Pete Musico, were convicted at the state level in Michigan and are currently appealing. While ineligible for a presidential pardon, political pressure can be put on Whitmer and the state of Michigan to issue clemency. I don't know if the feds were involved. It's a state charge, but if the feds were involved and caused it, first of all, How can the feds work with Whitmer's system? I mean, with cooperation, yeah. Well, then guess what? Trump can pardon, because Trump can only pardon federal things, right? But if they got the feds involved and that led to a state conviction, I think Trump has a good argument saying, well, you know what? They brought the feds into it. They opened the door, right? The defendants didn't. The feds did. And they're the ones that should be up on trial. What needs to happen to move forward, Urso suggests several urgent steps. First, fundraising and legal support are essential. I hope they do. I hope they do to give, send, go. Barry Croft's legal team needs financial backing to continue their advocacy, and a competent legal team must be assembled for Adam Fox, who currently has no representation. In addition, funding is required for public relations and advocacy efforts to ensure this case reaches a wider audience. You know what? I might get involved in that. What do you think, Jade? I might get involved in trying to help them do they can create like the give, send, goes, and I'll just promo the hell out of it everywhere.
Oh, you can certainly.
What the hell? I mean, whether I bring something in or not, I just feel these guys were railroaded, by the Democrats. They were railroaded.
Seems pretty obvious to me. They've already admitted.
Yeah, they were preppers.
They already admitted to the fact that the FBI, outnumbered 2 to 1.
I'm really going to look into
the guys.
Yeah, they were preppers, and the feds came in and changed them into a militia group. What? So they weren't very smart preppers, but but yeah, I'm going to save that article because I want to reach out to the writer. Breaking rocks in the hot sun. That's funny. This is the reason why the right doesn't organize the way the left does. Yeah, exactly, man. Unreal.
Yeah, I would hope that, for instance, Pam Bondi has some records. I think this is something that should happen. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel need to gather all that information and go to Gretchen Whitmer and say, listen, the guys that you got under wraps, we're going to make sure this stuff gets out unless you be fair with them.
Right.
That would be good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Let's see. Let's bring this up. It's not a movie. Court's dramatic smackdown of Judge Boasberg. This is the Jacobin in black robes I talk about. He's the guy that's been mostly him and Burl. What's her name? Burl Howe. The two top judges, obviously appointed by Democrats, that were trying to screw Trump over. Like this a-hole got involved in almost everything Trump tried to do to shut him down because the Democrats asked him to because they lost all their power.
You're forgetting about Marchand and Engoron.
Well, yeah, but they were only specific for their 2 cases. This guy has done like 5 or 6 cases.
Well, they keep funneling the cases to him.
Well, yeah, because he's the guy that they said that yeah, I'll screw Trump over. He's donated to Democrats, this guy. So it's a tale fit for a thriller, novel, or action movie. Planes on the tarmac waiting to take members of a violent gang to a foreign prison. Lawyers rushing to the courthouse to stop them. Presidential proclamations and a judge on a mission to impose his own brand of justice. But this drama isn't made up. It's very real, and it's playing out right now in Washington, D.C. When was this written? I think it was recent. Yeah, August 20th. Okay, 2 days ago. Okay. Leading the cast is President Donald Trump, who wants to rid the country of a violent gang. The legal backstory for his actions has 3 parts. The first is the Constitution, which the Supreme Court has long held gives the president authority over matters involving international relations that exceeds the permitted in domestic matters. Then it has the second piece is the Alien Enemies Act. That's right. He had to go to court for that. Enacted in 1798, it authorizes the president to apprehend and remove the native citizens or subjects of a hostile foreign government if that government attempts or threatens an invasion or predatory incursion against the United States. Third, the Immigration and Nationality Act authorizes the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, to designate as foreign terrorist organizations, or FTOs, groups that engage in terrorist activity and threaten the safety of Americans or the United States. With that in mind, let's turn to the unfolding drama. On February 20, the State Department designated 8 transnational gangs and cartels as federal terrorist organizations, including Tren de Aragua, a criminal organization that began as a prison gang in Venezuela in 2010. On March 14, Trump made the proclamation required by the Alien Enemies Act, emphasizing Tren de Aragua's connection with Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his regime-sponsored narco-terrorism enterprise. Tren de Aragua, the proclamation explained, commits brutal crimes, including murders, kidnappings, extortions, and human drug and weapons trafficking. The Trump administration moved quickly to act on this proclamation, apprehending dozens of suspected Tren de Aragua members and detaining them at a facility in Texas. The plan was to deport them on March 15th. We all know that. They flew. The judge, this a-hole judge, turned around and said, you must stop the plane in midair, turn around and come back. No, that wasn't happening, right? So they asked 2 things from Chief Judge Boasberg on the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia, who had been assigned the case. Of course he was. They wanted a writ of habeas corpus releasing the 5 detainee plaintiffs. More broadly, they sought the certification of a class for the purpose of maintaining the lawsuit as a class action consisting of all individuals anywhere in the country covered under the proclamation and an order protecting all such individuals from removal. Now, remember, guys, these are left-wingers that are they're fighting like hell to keep murderers, rapists, arsonists, just the most vile people who don't belong here, right, to try to keep them in the country. The big question is, why? What are they trying to pull off?
Well, it's very easy. It's very easy.
Go ahead.
It's at the core of, I'd say Democrat, but it's more at the core of the socialist communist theory. Basically, you want to keep your population afraid,
right,
and dependent on the government. Part of that involves making sure the population is disarmed and making sure that there's people running around that people are afraid of.
Right.
So the worst thing for a socialist or communist government is a confident population, a strong, confident population. That's the worst thing. What they thrive on is fear and division. So they want to disarm us. They want to keep these people here. I don't think any of them gives 2 sweet flying Fanny Adams about any of these individuals. You listen to them talk and they say, oh yeah, well, who's going to pick your strawberries? That's what they think about immigrants.
That's the racist That's the racist way of thinking of the Democrats. Who's going to pick your strawberries? Who's going to mow your lawn?
Who's going to, that's what they really think of immigrants.
Well, it really is. That's what they think. You know what they really think of immigrants is, we love the fact that they're going to be counted in the next census, so we get our power back. That's what they're thinking.
And, well, I mean, I think that's a side benefit. That's a side benefit.
That was the main reason why why Biden brought in up to 20 million of them.
Yeah, I suspect that was a bit behind there, but the basic it's deeper than that. It's at the basis of socialist and communist theory, right? Because if you've got a population that's afraid, they're easier to control because they're looking for somebody to make them not afraid. And so now they're dependent on the government. Yes, Billy, they want indentured servants.
Yeah, they wanted you're exactly right, dude. They wanted indentured servants.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So basically, I want to skip a lot of the bullshit, right? The Supreme Court stepped in on April 7, vacating both of Boasberg's March 15 temporary restraining orders. Writ of habeas corpus, the court said, must be sought in the jurisdiction where the plaintiff is being detained. In this case, that would be Texas. See, what happened was the Trump administration started getting smart. And they said, okay, so we're going to transfer this guy out of D.C. and send him to Texas. Because then Trump was 3 steps ahead of this asshole, this judge. He basically thought, okay, if we get him out of the jurisdiction, which we are allowed to do, Okay, we're allowed to, when you're in the federal system, they can ship you anywhere. So now if Boasberg tries to do anything to stop this guy from getting deported, he has violated his district because his district doesn't go beyond DC. So if the guy gets shipped off to Texas, right, he can't say, no, you got to bring him back. No, we don't. He's not in your jurisdiction. Screw you. All right.
No, but you know what Boasberg was relying on is the fact that he knew his ruling would get overturned, but there's a little clause there that if you violate the court order, even if the order is found to be unlawful, the fact that you disrespected the court, you're still liable for that.
Right.
And that's why they had to come back not only with getting rid of the TROs, but with the writ of mandamus.
Right.
They had to come down hard on them and say, yeah.
All right. So the government said that removing, because they were talking about that the real fireworks were over the meaning of just one word in Boasberg's second temporary restraining order, removing. Okay. So the government said that removing meant expelling the detainees from U.S. territory, which occurred before Boasberg issued the temporary restraining order. So they've already been removed. All right. It's no longer removing. They've been removed. So Boasberg, however, claimed that removing meant actually relinquishing custody to a foreign sovereign, which did not occur until after his order had been issued. Under Boasberg's reading, the government had violated his temporary restraining order. He didn't have the right to do it, though. But he wasn't finished. On April 16th, he issued yet another order claiming probable cause for criminal contempt for the government's willful disobedience of the temporary restraining order.
That's what I was just talking about.
Right. A president does not have to follow a ruling from a district judge that goes outside the district. And that's why Trump took it to the Supreme Court. Boasberg's shocking ultimatum to the executive branch was this: return the deportees to U.S. soil or identify the officials who ordered the deportation so they could be prosecuted. And he set an April 23 deadline. But wait, hadn't the Supreme Court already vacated Boasberg's temporary restraining order? Yes. How can someone disobey an order in effect Boasberg had no authority to issue? So in other words, Boasberg's saying, well, in other words, that's like saying Boasberg, the judge says, well, I order you to shoot that woman over there to death. All right. And then you go, well, wait a minute, I'm not going to do that. And the Supreme Court steps in and says, you can't make an order like that. And then he turns around and goes, yeah, but she didn't follow my order, so I'm going to have her prosecuted. It's bullshit.
Well, it is bullshit, but it's actually part of that law. Even if the judgment is found to be illegal or unconstitutional, you're still on the hook for the contempt.
But what that law is based on is that the judge made an honest mistake. In this case, Boasberg did everything he could to stop Trump. So he didn't make an honest mistake. He did it because he knew he'd get away with it, because there's no repercussions on these damn judges. That's why I call them Jacobins in black robes. There's no consequences for them.
He knew what he was doing from the start. He knew
from the very start.
He knew
that's right here. Boasberg surely knew what was coming because his contempt order came with an opinion accusing the Supreme Court of enabling all sorts of horrors, secretly loading people onto play. There was nothing secret about it. I mean, what do you think? They put cloaks over there? And you know what it is they're saying too, because the ICE agents, that's another thing. They say, well, the ICE agents are just dragging people off the street. No, they're executing arrest warrants. And why are they wearing the balaclavas? Because you motherfuckers in the media are the ones that are doxing these agents who are doing their job. That's why it is. The left is just out of their freaking minds when they do this shit.
Yeah, but the whole point is it went exactly the way he wanted, because he figured, well, he's not going to get away with the original ruling, but he can get the contempt ruling. Right. Except that now the Supreme Court just undermined that.
Hey, chill. What's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for being here, man. Hey, guys, once again, if you could hit that like button, please, it helps us a lot. if you haven't done so already. I'd appreciate it. Let's see, what else do we have here? Protesters wear yeah, exactly. And so that's a good point, Gina. Yeah, so exactly. So then like and you know what it is too, because they don't want to be arrested. That's what it is. But when the cops do it, it's because they don't want to be doxxed and have their families be
what it
terrorized.
is? But you know what it is?
What's that?
It's different when we do it.
I know. That's what they say. Thanks for this info. Numbers don't lie. It's plain as day. The last admin mismanaged the program and put kids at risk. According to his records, HHS Office of Refugee Resettlement placed 11,488 unaccompanied minors with sponsors who were neither parents nor legal guardians and who were not vetted through background checks. That's why they said many of these kids, it was like 15,000 that the Trump administration rescued. And you didn't hear the mainstream press talk about that either, right? That they were in either child labor camps or child sex rings. Now, these are the kids that people in South America would send their little kids on their own to do the journey to the United States in hopes of having a better world. And so groups like CARA, right? Like nonprofit groups that had their lawyers that were telling people, look, here's what you do. If you want to get in, like right away, have kids with you. Well, that's fine. We know there's tons of kids coming up. Just grab a kid and say, look, we're going to help you get in, but you got to say that you're my daughter or you're my son. Okay. Just no matter what, say that. Right. And then they would go in with them. So, well, the kids would be separated and then the adults would go into their own. When they let the adults out, they said, all right, you had your hearing. So here you go. Here's your paper, sign here. Then you can go over and pick your kid up and you can go wait for my kid. What? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. And they would just leave because they didn't have a kid. So all these kids were left over and the Biden administration just gave them to unvetted people. Are you kidding me?
And when they finally went to look at the addresses, they were like parking lots, and there was one that was a strip club.
Right.
It just went on and on.
What's funny is the same people that were involved in this, they were bitching back under the first Trump administration, saying he lost 800 and some migrant children. They lost, what it was like 30,000 of them? 30,000 kids they lost. How do you lose 30,000 kids? The report also revealed that HHS declined to conduct home studies for more than 79,000 children under the age of 12, even in cases where a home study had been recommended. When they recommend a home study, what do you think it means? It means they know something's wrong in the house, with the people that are there. We recommend a home study. That's crazy. That's just nuts. Let me see. What else is going? Now, what was the other one? Tulsi?
Yeah, the revoking of security clearances.
Okay, Gabbard.
That sounds interesting.
That does, yeah. Let's see. Gabbard revoked security clearances for 37 intel. I wonder if they're part of the 51 intel officers who said that there was Russian disinformation, the Hunter Biden laptop. I would love that. Who allegedly abused public trust. Here we go. So, Director of DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, announced Tuesday that she will be revoking security clearances for 37 current and former intel officials for allegedly abusing the public's trust by manipulating information and conducting political activities. The officials on Gabbard's list includes former top aides to Obama Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, who was involved with a discredited intelligence assessment that claimed Russia favored once and current President Donald Trump to win the 2016 election over Hillary Clinton. Gabbard has accused the 37 officials of politicizing and weaponizing intelligence, failing to safeguard classified information, or other instances of failing to follow standards. Being entrusted with a security clearance is a privilege, not a right. Those in the intelligence community who betray their oath to the Constitution and put their own interests ahead of the interests of the American people have broken the sacred trust they promised to uphold. Now, see, the Democrats think that, like, when you take an oath, it's just one of those prerequisite things you got to do to get the job, right? Conservatives actually believe in what the oath means. I mean, more so than than the left does. All right, there's some rhinos that'll be just as bad, but I mean, think about that. They promised to uphold something, their job to the Constitution, and they failed miserably. And then they wonder why they're losing their security clearance. She continued, in doing so, they undermine our national security, the safety and security of the American people, and the foundational principles of our democratic republic. The New York Post first reported on Gabbard's move. So former Clapper aides Vin Nugent and Stephanie O'Sullivan, I remember those names, both helped create the 2017 Intel assessment, reportedly ordered by former President Barack Obama before the end of his term. Gabbard's office has declassified records showing how Clapper, former CIA Director John the A-hole Brennan, and former FBI Director James, I'm going to prison, Comey. I would love to show you the video I saw of him, but I can't. I'll send it out to people. Funny as hell, the thing they made up of him. Played leading roles in developing the 2017 intelligence assessment. For their actions, Gabbard referred the Obama administration officials to the Justice Department for criminal prosecution in July. In a rare public statement, Obama rejected Gabbard's assertion that he spearheaded a treasonous conspiracy to perpetuate false claims that Trump and the Russians colluded during the 2016 presidential election. I bet he thinks they actually burned those documents in the burn bags. But that's why he's talking shit that way, because that's what he believed. It's either that or it's the typical Democrat thing: deny all the way until the end. Until they're putting you in the prison cell. The Justice Department launched a grand jury investigation earlier this month into the former top Obama administration officials for their role in pushing the Russian collusion claims. Obama's ties to Russiagate falsehoods was previously known, but the records Gabbard released showed how the Obama administration orchestrated the January 2017 intelligence assessment that claimed Russia assisted Trump in 2016. Seeking accountability, Gabbard has called for indictments for the top intelligence officials responsible for kickstarting the Russiagate scandal that consumed Trump's first term, even though its core allegations proved to be false. Gabbard's list of 37 officials featured several signatories to a statement supporting House Democrats' 2019 impeachment inquiry into Trump, which resulted in his first impeachment in 2020. It includes several national security officials from the Obama and Biden administrations, the last two Democratic. So in other words, shit's going down because she just see these 37 people. What these a-holes do is they keep their clearance and then they get hired like Clapper and Brennan. They get hired by CNN or MS Now, right? That's no longer MSNBC, by the way. They get hired by them. And they actually leak the classified information they still get because they have the clearances, right? So they leak it. They just reword it differently, and they leak it on these TV shows. They're committing treason, or they're actually violating the Espionage Act every single time. And so without that, the security clearances anymore, they can't do it anymore. Now they should get them on the Espionage Act too for violating that. For like leaking classified intel to news people. Yeah. He said Democrats are the devil. And I would play that song, but you know what? We'd get hit for a copyright. Even though Tom McDonald said over and over, anybody can play my videos. I don't care. What I think it is he didn't go through well, you know what? I don't think he has a content ID. I think he does his own distribution too. What's that? Let me see. 6 in jars.
How about a feel-good story about the young voters?
Let's see. Jesus, I can't type. Young voter. Oh, yeah. This is a feel-good story. This is our feel-good story of the week. I got to do a video on that. Like we have the long-lost thing of the week. All right. Let's do share screen. Here we go. Ready? Young voters are shifting right, and it's upending Western elections. Look at this. All the young people, they're voting to the right. So since Donald Trump won the U.S. presidency 8 months ago, several elections have reshaped the Western world, from Poland last month, where national conservative Carol Nowacki won an upset victory to Germany and Canada, which beat back ascendant right-wing parties. The popular media narrative framed these elections as more battles in the continued struggle between left and right, liberalism and conservatism, or in more partisan circles, fascist authoritarianism and progressive globalism. Good Lord. However, the real story has been largely missed in the U.S., where most politics is viewed through the Trump lens. There's a monumental demographic shift occurring that Western governments and national institutions are not prepared for, a sharp and potentially long-term shift to the right among the youngest voters. Economic anxiety fueled by resentment toward mass migration is rising dramatically among young. Look, I told you guys last week or the week before that what's going on with the young people is they're actually saying, you know, like the young men, they're saying, you know what? My biggest concern is, can I get a job that will help me get married and raise a family, buy a house and all that? While the young girls, unfortunately, according to the same study, said that they're all radical, pro-abortion, lunatic, progressive. But the young men are the ones that are saying, you know, the right thing. They're like, look, you know, the way this shit's been set up, I don't have a chance to have a normal life. And that's what they're upset about. And guess what? They're voting that way. Economic anxiety fueled by resentment toward mass migration. The economic anxiety and the mass migration are two of the same. They brought a shit ton of those people in the last administration, up to 20 million. And that took away a lot of jobs by the young bucks that are supposed to be moving up and taking those jobs, right? It's rising dramatically among younger voters, making governing without far-right parties nearly impossible, and in some cases making the farthest left European and Canadian parties irrelevant. In 5 of the most important recent national elections, the US, Canada, Germany, Poland, and Portugal, the youngest voters have swung dramatically in favor of right-wing parties, reversing the traditional overwhelming alignment of young people with left-wing progressive parties. And this unprecedented rightward trend continues. The identity of the West will be transformed for decades. I hope it does. In the U.S., voters under 30 shifted anywhere from 15 to 21 points toward Trump, especially young men who swung by nearly double those numbers. They weren't alone. Voters 30 to 44 years old also moved 8 points toward Trump since 2020, according to the Associated Press. Meanwhile, voting habits among Americans over 45 were statistically unchanged, according to the AP. The Washington Post reported a 4-point shift toward Harris among the oldest cohort, seniors over 65, the only generation to move left, because a lot of those Democrats are like, well, I'm old. I get money from the government. I want them to keep giving me increases. I'll bet that's what it is. But are Americans an anomaly? Recent elections say no. Last month, right-wing candidate Carol Nowacki won Poland's presidential election, succeeding fellow populist, whatever, Duda. All right. Now, what I'm hearing is that in a lot of these countries, like Germany especially, you have the government saying, no, we're going to throw that election out and we're going to ban your populist nationalist party. I mean, they're literally doing shit like that. That's how desperate they are. However, their routes to victory were very different. In 2021, Duda won an overwhelming support from voters 50 plus and did not win a majority of voters under 50. Nowacki, I guess, however, won majorities among voters 18 to 29, which is 53%, 30 to 44, 56%, and over 60, 51%. Whereas his opponent, well, I'm not even going to attempt it, won majorities among those 45 to 54 and 50 to 59. In Germany, far right, they always call it the far right alternative for Germany, doubled its overall vote share over the last 4. Well, when you lock people down, shut down their jobs, and tell them to shut the hell up, we don't want to hear from you, what do you think's going to happen? So let me say it again. In Germany, the far-right alternative for Germany doubled its overall vote share over the last 4 years, thanks in large part to a 14-point shift among voters 18 to 24 years old. It is now vying with the Left Party as the most popular political party with young German voters. In Canada, the Liberals reversed an early 20-point conservative polling lead and came out victorious by highlighting the 51st state taunts and tariffs coming from Trump. That's because they did the TDS up north, I believe. That's what I think they did. They came out and they were saying, like, they did the whole when Trump said they would become the 51st state, which he never really meant. He was trying to torture the lib nuts up there. And I think they effectively managed to convince a lot of people to vote left. However, this message landed only with older voters who reported the relationship in the U.S. as their top issue. So it backfired. Polling suggests that most younger voters actually favored the conservatives and prioritized the economy and affordability. Canada even runs a student vote for those of the age of not of age to participate, and the conservatives won it by 4 points. You gotta love it. Again, when Trudeau locked his people down, did that whole government attack on the truckers who just wanted freedom again, right? And said that they had unacceptable views like a commie, right? What did they think was going to happen, right? Like what the hell did they think was going to happen? The trend goes even deeper. In Portugal's 2025 legislative elections, the far-right party, I guess Chega or Enough, all right, founded in 2018, increased its vote share more than any other party and now controls 60 seats in the national legislature. Chega, I guess, is roughly tied to the center-right Democratic Alliance as the most popular party among young voters, securing a quarter of their vote. And where has this youth shift not appeared? Denmark. Bass, what's up? According to a report from the BBC, Denmark's bipartisan coalition government has pioneered some of the most restrictive immigration laws in the EU. And while implementation and enforcement is varied, its rhetoric has been strong, contrarian, and unapologetic. The result? A neutered far-right unable to gain a significant foothold with young voters and experiencing no meaningful poll gains in 2025. Let's analyze that. What's the matter? What's going on? Jimmy from Philly is having a mental breakdown. All right. So according to what I think happened there is that their government didn't bring a shitload of illegal aliens in, taking their jobs and doing it. So the people were like, you know what? I'm okay. I think that's what it was. The next year will bring more opportunities for far-right parties to potentially expand their inroads with younger voters in Norway, the Czech Republic, Slovenia, Hungary, Sweden, and more, unless other parties begin to seriously acting on young voters' economic and immigration concerns. If this current trend continues, then a generational reshaping of the West is only a matter of time. See, the globalists lost, and they lost big time because they were exposed for what they really wanted to do. And that's why you're seeing this populist nationalism throughout Europe. At least that's my belief. I could be wrong. I've been wrong many of other times. Trudeau upset Xi Jinping. David Cameron took him for a pint down the pub. Exactly.
Hey, do you remember when Trump called him Governor Trudeau?
Yeah, I know.
That was funny.
I loved it. I absolutely love that. I love that Trump controls these a-holes and he just gets them to go nuts.
Oh, and he knows exactly where to needle them. He's the total goat.
Oh yeah,
of trolling.
Now here's another one on. Now hold on, I want to stop it for. Okay, so Benny Johnson puts out. It's on the Bolton thing again. I should have read it earlier, but this is good too. So it has FBI official just told me that John Bolton raid is about Bolton's serial theft and publication of classified information that has gone on for years. So the FBI official, it is widely known that the Bolton mishandled and took classified information for use in his 2020 book, and he failed to get approval from the National Security Council for the publication of what they determined to be highly classified info. That's the thing. There's no way John Bolton didn't know that he had that. If you're a former government official and you want to write a book about your exploits, you have to go through the National Security Council, and they literally got to go through the book, and they send it back to you saying, all right, this, and this are good, but all the rest of this is shit. You can't do it. It's classified info, and it's not been declassified. He bypassed that and put the book out. because he thought, I'm John Bolton, who's going to come after me. Well, Trump's coming after you. This raid of Bolton's residence comes years after years of investigation into this potentially criminal disclosure, which started in 2020 before being put on pause for political reasons. The Trump administration is committed to restoring integrity to the Justice Department and ending the weaponization of government. Now, they're going to say he's weaponizing government against Bolton, but the difference is Bolton actually committed a crime. Okay, our investigation will follow the evidence and ensure accountability. Paybacks are fun. You got to love that. That's all the boxes that they found in his house. Paybacks are fun. Let's see. Not buying that someone took classified material, put it in a book for the world to see. Let me see. Is she left wing? Pro-choice? Yeah, never Trump. There you go. She's not buying it that someone took. Well, it's in the book, and they have the classified information. Right, this went through the courts in June 20. Trump tried to kill Bolton's book. Yes, Bolton won the case as a violation of First Amendment rights. I highly doubt Bolton has boxes full of docs in his bathroom. Well, what is that? You got to love that, man.
Maybe it's not his bathroom, but
plus, if everybody thinks that if these libnuts think that Donald Trump, of all people, is going to make up a bullshit story like this on Bolton, and they're going forward with prosecuting him, then they just don't know where the hell they are. I wonder what color the sky is in their world, because Trump is the last person who's going to make something up. That's what the left does. Like when they raided Mar-a-Lago, and then the FBI agents, like, this is why they didn't want cameras in there. Remember, they wanted to shut off all security cameras, and they made their lawyers. They made the lawyers that were Trump's lawyers that were there. They made them stand outside the gate. They didn't allow them in the house, right? And we found out later is because what happens is when you have a bunch of documents that are all like for the same subject, they put them in the envelopes, and then they put yellow tape along the front, which has written on there what it is and how it's evidence. Well, none of the things that they had there at the time, none of it was written as evidence. So what they did is they put a bunch of stuff when no one was looking into the envelopes, right? They were see-through envelopes, and they put the tape on then, the yellow tape, and wrote on it, and then laid it all out and photographed it and gave it to the libnuts in the fake news media, because they wanted you to think that these were documents that were stolen, and that the FBI already marked them off because they backdated them, already marked them off, that they were not to be, they were part of evidence and not to be taken, right? But they got caught. Now I want those feds fired and possibly charged.
yeah, and the interesting thing is, with all that effort, they forgot one thing: that the president is allowed to declassify anything that he or she wants.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's exactly it, Billy. That's why they did it. And they told the lawyers, Trump's lawyers, you can't be on premises. You can't do that, right? I mean, they go to his premise. And you know what else it is? The feds showed up, what was it, like a month prior or 2 weeks? It was only 2 weeks prior. And they went into the area where Trump kept the documents, right? It was a locked, secured room, right? And the news media kept saying, it was just thrown anywhere. No, it was a locked, secured room, unlike Biden, who had them in his garage, right? When he didn't have the right to have them.
Not only was it a locked, secure a locked, secure room, he had negotiated back and forth with the, what do you call it? The
National Archive.
The archives. He had archives people out there. He had FBI people. And the only thing they told him is, put a second lock on the door.
Right. But you want to know something? NARA didn't care at all about this case, because presidents always, when they leave, they want you to think that Trump was the one that actually picked the boxes up and moved them into the truck. That's what they want you to, they think you're stupid. And that's what they want you to believe. And so they hire people they say, all this stuff, or just got that and just throw it on. They don't know what's in all the boxes. So what happens is a president takes it to wherever he's going to load it, usually on his property, and they go through it. And he decides what he determines is presidential records, and he keeps them, and the rest he gives back. His lawyers were already negotiating with the National Archives and Records Administration, okay? They already were in negotiation, which is what you do, okay? So they say, yeah, we're going to figure out what's ours, and we're going to tell, and then we'll go out and tell you what isn't, and we'll give it back to you, right? Well, they weren't past the deadline by any stretch, okay? And so NARA had no problem with it until we found out Nancy Pelosi and Chuck U. Schumer threatened NARA. Now you think, well, NARA's part of the executive branch. How do they threaten? Oh, well, we'll cut your funding. Think about that. They can do, and they did it. I don't know if that's how they did it, but they threatened them. And now all of a sudden, NARA says, hey, we want those boxes back. Why do you have these boxes? Right? Let me see what's happening with ex-FBI Bolton's home in news today. Yeah, we just did the story. They raided his home because he was, for years, he was stealing classified information. And then he did it recently, well, in 2020 for his book. He used classified information in his book. He never went through the National Security Council to actually get it okayed, his book. There's a law that if you're going to write a book based on your exploits of being a federal employee, especially an officer, which he was, right? Yeah, Chuck U. Schumer, that's what I call him. Well, you're supposed to go through the National Security Council, and which is in the White House. And they have people that go through the book and read if anything's classified in there or not. It's people in the know, right? And he didn't. He bypassed that and put his book out anyway, which is a big no-no. And nobody bothered him on it because he hated Trump. So what's going on now is they just raided his house to get more classified documents, which he certainly had no right to have, right? You want to do one more? We got time for one more.
You want to wrap up with Frank Zappa?
Sure.
I always like hearing about Frank Zappa.
I know, me too.
You know, he's a genius.
I know. It's a video that we're going to play, but let me make sure. I'm going to get past. Yeah, I'm getting past the commercials first.
Yeah, Frank Zappa is a genius, and he was trained as an orchestral musician. He's qualified. Well, I don't know when's the last time he tried to do it, but he's an orchestral conductor.
Right. So I'm going to bring it in, but the headline is it's in 1981. And it says Frank Zappa nails the American school system. All right, here we go. I'm going to bring it up.
It's not up. There it is.
It should be. I said I'm going to bring it up.
Schools train people to be ignorant with style. They give you the equipment that you need to be a functional ignoramus.
There you go.
American schools do not equip you to deal with things like logic. They don't give you the criteria by which to judge between good and bad in any medium or format. And they prepare you to be a usable victim for a military-industrial complex that needs manpower. As long as you're just smart enough to do a job and just dumb enough to swallow what they feed you, you're going to be all right. But if you go beyond that, you're going to have these grave doubts that give you stomach problems, headaches, make you want to go out and do something else. So I believe that schools mechanically and very specifically try and breed out any hint of creative thought in the kids that are coming up.
So what's the alternative for the parent who would agree with you?
Well, remember that the school isn't the only place that a child gets educated. If you realize that the schools are doing damage, and I believe this, I believe that schools do a lot of damage to kids, then you should do what you can at home to help give them something to counteract what's happening to them at school.
You mean encourage creativity?
Encourage them to read things other than what the school gives them. Let them feel that you
Homeschool
as
them.
a parent want them to be smart, not just to be successful, not just to be a nice little person. That you want them to develop their thinking apparatus.
Right.
That is.
Yeah, I always liked him too.
That was true then, and
Yep.
it's still true. Yeah, the man's a genius, musical genius.
Oh yeah. I thought he was too.
Yeah, man's a musical genius. Not really my style, but acknowledged as a genius.
I liked a lot of his songs. Yellow Snow.
Yeah, Yellow Snow. It was, but the interesting thing about Zappa is, like, if you worked with him, you had to be so on the ball that I guess he would, like in the middle of a show, he felt like it wanted to go a different way. So he would make hand signals that you would change. Okay, so now we're going to choose. Okay, we've been playing it. Now I want to play it in a reggae style. So you had on the fly, you had to be able to switch styles from like rock or blues to reggae. I don't know if he did disco, but funk. You had to instantly transform your song into like a funk song.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Like on the fly.
Yeah.
That's the kind of, and he brooked no, very little faults.
Wow. Well, I also heard that Alice Cooper was pretty smart.
Alice Cooper is another musical genius.
Yeah. He did that, Hey Stupid.
Hey Stupid. And if you listen to it,
Hey Stupid.
the song Poison.
Yeah.
If you analyze it musically, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
If you really analyze the chord progression, why can't I think of words? The chord progression, the keys, how he does it, it is really genius. You know what's another really genius song? What's that? Oh God, no, it just went out of my brain.
Louis said Keith Emerson too. Go ahead.
Wichita Lineman.
Okay.
Wichita Lineman. It is such a clever use of the music. It's amazing. Anyway.
All right, guys, do me a favor. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Please, next week, bring some friends. One friend from each of you would double it, right? Come on. Let's get the message out. You guys have a blast. Have your friends have a blast. We really appreciate you guys. We love the fact. Hey, Curious Georgia, how you doing? Good to see you. I didn't know you were here. I'm sorry. I would have given a shout out sooner.
Yeah, tell your friends.
Yeah, please. We love you guys. We're out of here. Do me a favor. Watch our videos. I'm going to announce when I'm going to have Robin on from she's relentless but courage is secure. I'm going to have her on sometime, hopefully soon. So I'm going to be emailing her. She's a very busy individual. I saw like a lot of her videos. She does a lot of work. Okay, she's very diligent, and so I'm going to try to get her to give us some time. I appreciate all you guys. Love you very much. You guys have a great weekend. I'll talk to you.
Have a good week.
See you guys.